republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Amendments to the agenda.
Yeah. Nothing to.
Okay. Approval of the minutes of June 4th.
Motion to approve is presented.
Oop.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any additions, deletions, corrections?
I have
Okay.
two. And on page 2, at the top where we're discussing community bank's donation, I neglected to say, and I think it might be important to know that the community bank donated $500 to the playground fund, but that money went to the school. It did not come to the town's bank account, just in case the auditors look back.
Okay.
And on page 3, 2/3 of the way down, where the motion to approve the sewer and water budget, the rate is $13.29, not 20 cents.
$13.29, this is for water
This is the rate,
Water.
use rate.
yes.
Well, I thought I was reading it wrong.
And I thank Jenny for picking that up. She found both of those.
Anything else? All those in favor with the corrections?
Yeah.
I do.
Opposed? Thank you. 5 minutes for public comment. Public is quiet. It's not true, by the way. Mr. Elliott and Company, you're on.
I'd like the
We weren't
5
gonna be all the way.
minutes for public comment. I can't tell you how many meetings I've been to over the last 6 months where that 10 minutes gets to be an hour.
It has happened here more than
Yeah, I
once.
know it has, so, and I know we got a full agenda here, so we'll probably jump right into it here.
I think I'll go up here.
I think I'm the only one that's doing it.
That's us.
We kill that like.
So I think everybody's got a copy of the presentation here. I've got Jeff Lewis from my office here tonight. I tried to get Pete to do the presentation tonight, but didn't have much luck there, so.
Slowly retiring.
Yep.
He's retired.
Okay, so this is just an overall slide of the wastewater plant. Of course, you get to it down West Street, and the entrance, let me see here, comes in here off from, this is Montgiven right here, this is the control building. A little bit of a brief history here. The original plant was constructed back in the late 1960s. 1989, very major, significant project was done in 89 where it was upgraded to secondary treatment, so that's where a lot of the new structures and work was done on the plant. Then in 2000, the state implemented a lower phosphorus limit, so there was a phosphorus removal upgrade project done that primarily consisted of new chemical feed systems and the new anaerobic selector. That was 100% covered, grant funded for the capital improvements at the time. But the big thing to note here is that, other than the phosphorus upgrade, the town hasn't done any significant work at the plant in the last 30 years. They have been good about replacing motors, critical pieces of equipment, but the majority of the stuff here is now 30 years old, and some is even older than 30. A little background again, 1989, did a treatment plant upgrade. I did the 20-year evaluation, the previous one, it was in 1995, so I'm on my second round on a lot of these. And the town kind of took the initiative back here a little bit over a year ago to start this evaluation, 20-year evaluation process sooner. The state is a little bit behind on reissuing the permits, but the town will get a new permit here probably in the next year or so. And there is a requirement in that new permit that you do a 20-year evaluation. So you're just kind of a jump ahead of the game. And again, the driver there is the majority of the facility here is about 30 years old. Just a reminder on a couple things. The facility is permitted for a flow of 500,000 gallons per day. Recently, your flows are averaging about 132,000 gallons per day. So you're only running that plant at about 26% of its capacity. That's pretty rare. Most communities are 50 to 60%, some are a little higher than that. So you're really, on your average day side, really underutilizing that facility. So as part of this work, the study itself, the town's using the Clean Water SRF funding because you're required to go through a qualifications-based selection process, so we were selected. And by doing that, you qualify for 50% loan subsidy on the engineering work. So that's huge. So the fee for this, only half of that is going to have to be paid back in loan. We started the study back in May of 2018. It's taken a little bit longer than we hoped because late last year the town wanted us to assess the Castleton consolidation option, so we did that, and we'll talk about that here in the presentation. So this is just a summary of the needs. The control building is on the right. That dates back to the late 1960s. Encourage anybody to go down to the plant and especially start with the control building. It's tired, it's old, really needs some work. It's really past its useful life, and everything from mechanical, electrical, to renovation. So the purpose and needs, the equipment served the town very, very well, been very well operated. The facility consistently meets its discharge permit limitations, but you need to replace these aging components. If you don't, you're going to start to have significant failures and costly repairs. And you're putting money into equipment now that's 30 plus years old, that's really beyond its useful life. Typically, we can get 25 years out of something, aside from concrete tanks and structures, but once you start to hit 30 years, it's really well past its intended useful life. The oxidation ditch was built back in the late 1960s. That hasn't been drained or inspected since the 1989 upgrade. And the reason for that is that can't be taken out of service. For the biological part of the treatment process, you have one ditch. The state would never allow you to build it that way nowadays. You'd have to have two for redundancy purposes. And we'll talk about this a little bit more. We've really talked a lot of discussion about how to take that down, take it out of service. That is old and it's really challenging. The state won't allow you to take that out of service because you have to comply with your discharge permit limitations throughout, whether you're in construction or not. So that's a huge challenge. Replacing equipment at the end of its service life to improve the long-term reliability. If the town doesn't start to reinvest in the plant and you start having failures and breaks with violations, you will be subject to fines, as some other communities around you. You see the city of Burlington in the last year or so. Brandon's in this situation. Again, continuing to provide consistent compliance with the discharge permit. The state is a lot more enforcement oriented, so if you have consistent violations or have issues, they will fine the town. And then there's some other things with the electrical, manholes, safety issues, compliance and safety issues. There really isn't any kind of automated monitoring or control of the facility, which is really pretty standard nowadays with the computer technology and controls. These are some photos of the headworks. Basically, the flow comes into the plant. There's a coarse bar rack here. That intends to take the larger inorganic material out of there. All the other stuff really passes through that and continues through the treatment process. It ends up in the sludge. It makes it more difficult to be effluent. This catches the bigger stuff if somebody puts a towel or those kind of things, but the majority, I think it's got an 1.5 inch bar spacing, really passes through that down the process. One of the things we did at the request of the town, which we'll talk about, this is a screening unit, which is pretty common now. The purpose of that is to take that inorganic material out of the flow stream, it dewaters it, puts it in the dumpster, so it's disposed of separately. So the plastics, all that material aren't carried into the flow stream in the sludge. This is the existing grit removal. Technology hasn't changed a whole lot, but that piece of equipment is 30 years. It removes the solids, the grit that's dewatered and taken out separately in a dumpster. Served its purpose very well, but again, that equipment is past its useful life.
Is Fairhaven, because of the sandy condition, do we have more grit?
I'd say not, Bob. It's more of a function of the age of the collection system. You get into the older Vermont communities, the villages, and it's really more the older pipes that date back to the 1900s. Just a lot of that surface.
Red clay tile.
Yeah, exactly. And you have breaks in the clay tile, you have open joints. That's where that soil gets out of there. Some of the newer plants don't have grit removal. If you had a newer sewer system, you really wouldn't have. And I'm talking something I call new 30 or 40 years, you really don't need grit removal. But screening is one of the things that was really neglected in the past, and almost all plants are really putting in some type of screening. This is your oxidation ditch. They have the town has 6 of these aerators. Pretty unique, but work very well and provides good operational flexibility. But again, the concrete ditch itself is, was built back in the late 1960s and served its purpose, very well for this period of time. Secondary clarifiers, those were done in the 89 upgrade. You can see the equipment, the interior components, they're 30 years. Serve the town very well, they work very well, the technology hasn't changed. But you can see the steel weirs, this is a skirt. The problem with this equipment is if you have a drive go, you don't call up and get that overnight. It may take you 2 months or even 3 months to get a drive. And you have one of these units go down, and I can't tell you how many times, just things happen because of the age. All of a sudden the other one goes down and you're without any clarification for a period of time. And then you can't meet your effluent limitations and you're with the state. So that's what's really critical for long-term reliability for a lot of this equipment. Then we have a whole lot of other age-related. This is in the headwork structure. That's a classified space, so very corrosive, harsh environment. The water lines are corroded. You can see steps, safety issues here. These have settled over time. This is a mixer and the selector. This is an H pump, so you see that consistently through the plant. And the best thing is we can show you the photos and try to describe it and encourage anybody to go down with Pete, spend some time to do a quick walkthrough. A lot of it's just tired, it's been well maintained, but it's overdue.
On that last slide, the aerator that we have there, we kind of marked that as a need in the next 2 to 3 years, and that actually is already filled since we put this together. Just wanted to showcase that you do have things that are actively going through that process right now.
So what we do through the study is we spend a lot of time, working with the staff, trying to identify what the needs and the priorities are. What we try to do is come up with this list of things that we're really looking at over the next 10 years. There's always a handful of things that are really critical that should be done sooner than later. In an overall project, what we're really looking at is this kind of 2 to 5 year window. If we saw many things in this list, we may pull those into that 2 to 5 year window. And the reason for that is that, you're in the study phase, you need to get to a bond vote, there's a year of design, getting the contract documents together, you've got to put it out to bid. So it's taking you 3 or 4 years to really get through the project and have this work completed. So that's the window that we're really trying to work with here. And this is just a list, a summary of all the critical items. These are just strictly age-related things that are outside their useful life. We really need to address, to improve the long-term reliability. So, talk a little bit about the alternatives. So one thing the state requires when we're going through this, we identified the priorities. We're not looking at any different effluent limitations. The state isn't looking to impose a lower phosphorus limit on those plants that go to the Otter Creek. So that's great news, and the state just did win the recent court case, the appeal. We're not looking at additional treatment capacity, so we're really looking at addressing the age-related things. So the state requires we go through a comprehensive evaluation of alternatives. The first one we did was looking at trying to continue to use the oxidation ditch, and we fold the necessary components that need to go along with that to make that reliable long-term. We've got that in there. We really didn't take that much further because we could not find a way to take this, drain this, clean it, take it offline, inspect it, you know, with the town still being able to comply with your permit limitations. And even if we could do that, you know, how do we deal with this during construction? You know, there's concrete repairs and things in there, you know, and you're spending money on something that now is over 50 years old. The state's not going to be too excited about continuing forward with one tank with that kind of money. You know, this could have to be down for 6 or 8 weeks at least to do the work, and that creates a lot of risk to the town because if something happened during the construction process and you get thrown into violations again, you'd be subject to fines. 10 or 12, 15 years ago, the state would allow you to take this down, issue an emergency pollution permit, and provide you some flexibility, and they don't do that anymore. You need to comply irregardless. So we looked at building 2 new aeration tanks that would continue to use the existing secondary clarifiers. Very common, extended air is a very common treatment process for this size plant. A lot of those around the state that have been working very well for many years. And then we also looked at sequential batch reactors. That's a common technology that's seen a lot of upgrades in the last 10 years. So West Rutland has a sequential batch reactor. Poultney has a sequential batch reactor. Castleton has a sequential batch reactor. The advantage of that is that the biological and secondary treatment happens in a single tank. Whereas if we're looking at the aeration tanks up here, we build 2 new aeration tanks, and then we need to upgrade the secondary clarifiers behind that to continue to provide the clarification. So when we're looking at these alternatives, we're doing preliminary layouts, we're doing updated construction cost estimates, we're looking at what the O&M costs are going to be, we're looking at pros and cons and all that to really, you know, vet this out and see what the best approach is moving forward. So the Castleton consolidation, you know, this was really interesting. It's, you know, it's an interesting approach. And, you know, you have 2 kind of adjacent communities that have kind of similar needs. Unfortunately, as we got into this, there are 3 or 4 really significant challenges. And I'll talk a little bit about how this would have worked here. The treatment plant is over here off of West Street. Unfortunately, that's at the far west of town. If that plant was located anywhere over here, it would make this approach a lot easier, a lot more cost effective. So what we had to do is you have to abandon the existing treatment plant. You have to convert this to a big pumping station. You still want to keep the headworks because we don't want issues with reliability with pumping. You know, we talked about the initial screening, those kind of things, so those were included. And then what we have to do is pump that in a pipe all the way east down West Street, up North Main Street. You know, there was a possibility of a cross-country route, but we decided to stay in the town right away, all the way up to Route 4. You do not get into any existing sewer infrastructure in Castleton until you get about this location. There's a pump station called the Highville that goes back in the easterly direction. The treatment plant is right about at this location here. We had to bypass that existing pump station because it wasn't sized big enough, so we brought the new force main past this. Then there's a whole bunch of existing sewer infrastructure on 4A that takes that flow east back to Castleton Corners. We looked at that. Those pipes weren't big enough to accept the flow from Fairhaven. So basically have to add pumping here in a single pipe with odor control. We have to be really careful with the length of this pipe. Typically you want to add some kind of chemical so when it's coming out the other end here in Castleton, it's not creating a whole lot of odor issues and getting complaints from residents. So it's put in a single pipe that entire distance all the way up to Castleton Corners. Castleton just did replace this section of gravity sewer here. Last year it was corroded and the pipe was structurally unsound, so that's done. The other thing that we got into with the Castleton treatment plant is that was upgraded in 1998, so they're now over 20 years old. So they're going to be looking at some age-related stuff here in the near term too. And the other problem we had here is the Castleton plant is permitted for 480,000 gallons per day. Right now, their current flows in Castleton are a little bit over 300,000. So if we add your 132 to that, we need about 450,000 gallons per day of capacity at this plant. They're permitted for 480,000. Once you get to 80% of that 480,000, the state wants you to plan for an upgrade expansion. So we figured this plant needs to be about 570,000 gallons per day to accept Fairhaven with some future growth, and also accept Castleton's existing flows with some future growth. So you're looking at creating a pump station here, new pipe the entire way, upgrading and expanding the Castleton treatment plant. So that entire cost was over $11 million. And we took this out beyond, at Joe's request, even beyond 20 years. We actually took the economic analysis out to 40 years, and it took over 30 years, 35 years before there was any kind of possible wash or kind of return in investment here. The other thing to keep in mind too is Fairhaven you would definitely reduce your operating costs, but you still need at least one staff person here to run the pump station and handle the screenings and all that from the headworks. So you are going to reduce your operating costs here, but then you've got to pay Castleton over here to treat your flow over there. So it's an A plus a B. It's not just a reduction in the, in the Fairhaven O&M cost. So we really concluded that that wasn't feasible. In a different scenario, if this plant had adequate capacity, there wasn't an age issue, you guys are over here, we could reuse some of this existing infrastructure. The whole scenario could have looked a lot different, but there's just too many challenges, too many limitations to make that cost-effective long-term for the town. Any questions on that at all, or jump in if anybody has any thoughts or questions here? So we ended up here with the proposed project, and this primarily includes the majority of the components of the plant. We've got some upgrades to the headworks. The oxidation ditch would be abandoned. We'd be looking at 2 brand new aeration tanks over here at the western end of the site. We'd upgrade the 2 secondary clarifiers. So we really landed on alternative number 2, which is the more cost-effective. If we went with the SBR option, we had room for the tanks here, but we had that pumping and a bunch of things because of the different hydraulic profile. So it didn't make that approach more affordable. We've also got age-related things here with the in-plant pump station, control building renovations, and also work pumping replacements over here in the existing pump and build blower building. So pretty significant. The things that are okay, the garage, don't need to do anything with the chlorine contact tank. The selector's okay, and the chemical feed systems for phosphorus. One of the things to think about a little bit is, so we've prepared or proposed a project to deal with the age-related things that you're seeing permanent capacity. One thing that we kind of kicked around, and maybe something for the board to think about, costs are significant here. I mean, there's no way to really hide that or sugarcoat it. It's a sizable project for the town. One of the things to think about, though, which I've never done this in all my years, is that you don't need that much permitted capacity. Do you really need the 450,000 gallons per day moving forward? You're running at about 132 right now. We need to account for the higher flows, regardless with some of the wet weather issues. But with a town and where it's headed over the next 25 or 30 years, to need all that capacity. So just something to think about. I've never been in a situation where we kind of rescinded or given capacity back. I don't think in all my years. Part of the reason for that is once you give it up, you never get it back. It's pretty hard to get back. And then the other thing with that, just to be mindful, is you can reduce the overall cost. You're not going to reduce them by 50%. A lot of this stuff is scalable. Like if we did reduce the capacity, doesn't change too much what we're doing in the headworks. The secondary clarifiers, we're gonna reuse the concrete structure, so it doesn't change the size of that equipment. You know, we could maybe look at it, possibly achieve a 10 or 15% reduction in construction costs, but not more than that, so you just want to be realistic if that's something worthy of consideration. So the proposed project, again, the major items, the headworks, we do have the screening included in here, and that's similar to the unit we showed in an earlier photo. The grit removal, we also have, you know, building renovation, heating, ventilation, electrical upgrades included in there. The extended duration basins, we have two brand new concrete tanks. Out at the west end of the site to replace the oxidation, the ditch would just be taken out of service and abandoned. The secondary clarifiers, we would reuse the existing concrete tanks, refurbish the enclosures, replace all the internal elements, refinish and repaint, and then a whole lot of age-related improvements, you know, the building roof, on the control building, the implant pump station, renovations to that building, new SCADA telemetry system for the PLC controls, lab equipment, office space, and some other associated work in the existing pump and blower building. So estimated construction costs for February 2021, you know, the headworks is about $900,000, biological treatment about $3 million, age-related refurbishment $1 million, so we're looking at a little bit under $5 million, and we've extended the start construction date out to the end of February of 2021. Total project costs get you up to about $6.5 million. So to go from the 5 to $6.5 million, you know, we got a 10% construction contingency, engineering for the design, contract documents, permitting, construction services. You know, then we also have administration, permit fees, legal. So that's where you're getting up to the 6.5, which would be roughly the recommended bottom out. Available funding sources. I think that the way we envision this, which is something that's pretty common in the last couple of years, is probably a joint funded project. So the town is on the state priority list, and if you just go with the state, the only issue there is you're going to be looking at all loan money right now. So you'd be looking at 20 years at 2%. Because you went to the qualifications-based selection process, you're required to anyways. So for the engineering for this phase of work, the next phase of work, you qualify for up to $100,000 in the loan subsidy. There is a pollution control grant for the, became effective of July 1st of this year, which is quite a change from the previous grant. Prior to this, you wouldn't have got any grant money at all for age-related improvements. So about 10% of the total you would be eligible for. And as far as the loan here, you know, the repayment starts 1 year after substantial completion. So the first loan payment really wouldn't kick in if you went with the state loan portion of it until, so you'd be looking at roughly the end of 2022. USDA rural development, you're in a good, you know, the town is a very good candidate for that. Your sewer rates are already high. One of the limitations with them is they run off the federal fiscal year, so their funding application is due December of each year. So that's something we'd have to work towards. They can't provide you a funding offer until you have a positive bond vote. So you can submit the application in December, and you wouldn't get that offer until you've been through the bond vote process.
How does that work? So we go to bond.
Yeah.
We've already applied for USDA.
Yeah.
Do they guarantee that?
They don't.
That's right.
So we have to make some estimates, Bob. Basically what we try to do here, and we try to be realistic based on what we've seen from prior projects over the last 2 or 3 years. You are eligible for up to a 45% grant with that. We're not going to tell, to be transparent, we're not going to tell anybody you're getting a 45% grant, because that's probably not going to happen. We have to be a little careful with the joint funding, because if you get the grant from the state, that may reduce their grant contribution a little bit. And the only reason they're doing that is they're trying to, you know, they both got limited pots of money, so they're trying to make sure they're fairly distributing that through other similar sized communities. A realistic grant here, as you'll see, is about 25%. Their loan term is 30 years versus the 20. The market rate is 3.25, depending where we end up with that. And these are things we can, get into more detail, in advance of the bond vote. Is it possibility you qualify for the poverty, the lower interest rate here too. This can be coupled with the state funding, so you can get a USDA grant loan and also still receive the state pollution control grant. And as I mentioned previously, so the application here is due in December, so that's something you want to really start probably October timeframe. It's all done online. It's like doing a bank application. And really, you'll have all that information ready to do that. The study that we've done has all the information ready to input that. So it's relatively straightforward to do that application at that time. Sometimes we don't go with USDA because it's a timing thing. Depending what your project is, the problem is so if you had a positive bond vote and you submit the application in December, you may not get a funding offer until March or April. If you're trying to get to construction next year, that's getting almost too late, so you're going to lose the construction window. You're pushing it into the following year, but if your schedule fits, RD is a great option. We work with them as much as we do with the state.
Is it possible to combine the two?
Yes,
The
absolutely.
state?
Yeah, absolutely.
The state loan?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you can't do both loans. Yeah, but you would have to do either the USDA loan or the state loan bond.
And if that 6.5
Yeah,
million there you're talking, is that after the grant or before the grant?
that's before the grant.
So that if
Yep.
we were to get the grants, we could probably be about 5 million?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what we try and do. We try to make some realistic estimates, kind of based on what we're seeing for other projects. So this would be based on a joint funded project here. The USDA loan is 30 years, 3.25. They're actually even pushing the terms out about 30 years, but you got to be really careful about the useful life. Again, you don't want to borrow money for longer than the life of some of those assets are. That puts a huge burden on the sewer customers moving forward. So we're looking at about 100,000 in loan subsidy on the engineering side, about a 10% Vermont pollution control grant. So this is kind of the question here. This is the 10% of the total project cost. Estimated a USDA grant of about 25%. The remaining loan amount is a little bit over $4 million. Typically, you bond for the total amount, but that's a choice. That's a decision of the board. You do. Definitely with the USDA portion we would recommend, so that's something we can have some more discussion with. Generally you want to bond for the total project cost, but you don't have to. And that's a decision the board can make moving forward. Estimated annual loan payment, which is primarily on the USDA loan at the 3.25, 30 years, is about $220,000. And it's a huge hit, it's a big increase. I don't know any other way to downplay this, but it's about a little over $60 increase per quarter for sewer customers. So I know your rates are already high and tough, and it's a tough hit. Even with this is a pretty good realistic funding package, and if you go another way, that $66 just starts to look a little bit worse here.
If I could, Wayne,
Yeah.
you mentioned a minute ago that sometimes there's problems if you have a bond vote, say in November,
Yeah.
then you go to construction in March.
Yeah.
We're not there yet, but we're not going to go to construction under, here we are, under the current plan until the March following year.
Yeah, so that's something. So we've all talked about, the stuff is already 30 years old, and we looked at the priorities. We had that 2 to 5 year window. So what we're proposing here, is a November bond vote, and then basically what you're in for the next 12 months, you're waiting on getting your funding offer from USDA. You're in the engineering design, so you're not going out to bid until really the end of 2020. So Pete's point here, we're early in 2019. We're not even starting construction here for about 2 years. And then you're looking at about another 12 months to get through construction. So even if you start things today, this is at least a 3-year kind of path here that the town. So the stuff once you get to that point, is now 32, 33 years old as it continues to age. So we're looking at, starting construction in, March, April of 2021, and that's going to take you at least about a year, into the middle of 2022. So this is a, pretty much a 3 to 4 year path. And, with these types of projects, they can usually go through the winter, if they can get a good start on the, the concrete work and the site work and all that, get the equipment. So it's not necessarily a start-stop, but it's a 3 to 4 year path here, before you're getting all this stuff replaced, and so it's new, and you're kind of back to where you should be here.
A couple specifics, are you replacing the control building?
No, we're not. We're going to refurbish. Yeah, it's going to look pretty much new, Bob, but, the shell of that we think is okay.
Okay.
Everything
Is it big enough?
inside. Yeah, I mean, that's something we could talk about, I guess. You could always have more space. Question of where you want to spend the money. I think, what's your feel? Pete, is that building big enough for
Can't see
your?
it from my house.
But I think for two guys, and I think what you have, it's not any too big. It's probably bare bones minimal.
It could always be bigger. I mean, the office is tiny. We've got the filing cabinet out in the storage room.
Sometimes when we get to the design, Bob, we've got, numbers, cost estimates in here. Sometimes for the sequencing, we find it maybe a little less or easier to just do an addition on that anyways, just for some of the sequence stuff, so we can build anew, and we'll kind of go back and repurpose what we have there too. That's usually pretty inexpensive to try to do that, and get in the interest of trying to keep things running and operable during construction.
Can you do this in steps, or does it have to be done all over?
Well,
Like the
yeah,
building?
that's,
could be
yeah.
an Upgrade?
Yeah, that's a good point. So that's the thing, it's probably easier. Let me see if I go back to, yep. That's one of the challenges with the duration of these types of projects here. So, these things in the headworks need to definitely be sequenced. You need to get the equipment in first. I'll pick the secondary clarifiers. Those can only be done one at a time. You need to have a minimum of one operable. So you'll do one and then do the other. You got the same thing in here with the electrical, all has to stay operable. You got a certain piece of equipment in there, you need to have at least, one of those operable at all times. So that affects the duration. You can get in here and build these new tanks, get all that going, that's pretty straightforward. You don't take the ditch offline, until this is up and running and all the air piping, but the existing components and equipment out there need to stay operable. So things have to be sequenced appropriately. Equipment, electrical, and those kind of things we can work out there.
Were you asking if you could break this into little contracts?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, like the building,
Yeah.
can we upgrade that now?
Given the mobilization issues there, if you're bringing people on the site for 4 or 5 different subsequent projects, and you're mobilizing them each time, you're increasing your construction price quite a bit.
The
When
cost,
you
the
try
cost
to
is more.
piecemeal it like that.
Well, while you're on this one right here, so once you've got everything online
Yeah.
here, we're gonna have this big empty ditch
That's
sitting
right.
in the middle.
That's right.
They'll clean it up.
Versus leveling it out.
They're gonna level it out after.
Would it be better
think,
off to
right?
refurbish it after you get the other ones online?
Isn't this, I guess my question is,
Good.
in the proposal, are we leaving a big hole, or are we
They're gonna
filling it
fill
in
it.
and leveling it out?
That's something,
I didn't see it in the proposal.
Yeah,
Good question.
Skateboard?
I'm just trying to imagine this big.
So there's a couple things we can do with it.
Secret thing.
Yeah, so we could take the fill material that we're taking out for the aeration tanks and throw it in there. We could pile it, move it in there, we could level that up, knock the walls in. I'm not a big fan of leaving some of this wide open, because if you don't do anything with it, it becomes a kind of a hazard. It's gonna fill with water.
Well, that's another
So-
thing. We have had internet operation of a lawnmower or so, and
Yeah.
Okay.
So we could fill it in, you know, we can, you know, that's something we can have some more discussion, not a big cost issue, so, yeah.
And I didn't know if
Yep.
there's some requirements like with
No.
your sludge storage or whatever. Is there some other
Well,
use for that?
yeah, you know, we try to, you know, nowadays, you've actually got a lot of room here. Many of these sites, if you've ever been in Castleton, you know
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that site
Yeah.
is, you know, you got the railroad tracks, you got the wetlands to the west, you've got the river to the south, and you got a horrendous way to get down there. So some of these sites, you have to be pretty creative. I don't really think we have any real purpose for this, you know, long-term, and leaving it just kind of open as is just becomes kind of a liability for the town. The balance is that you want to probably leave it so it looks appropriate, but you don't want to spend a lot of money just kind of abandoning and repurposing that. So, you know, that's something we could all kind of think about, and not a big cost item, but maybe how that look. Unfortunately, I don't think we have another, you know, have another purpose for it here. We could really reuse that, so.
Can it just be filled in, or does it have to be
Sure.
torn out?
No, it can be filled in, yeah. You know, sometimes what we do is we just knock the top of walls and run, you know, just haul some fill in there, just fill a little punch some holes in the bottom of it, so there's no water, yeah.
That might let the groundwater come back up if you poke holes in it.
Yeah, so we can, you know, we're pulling a bunch of material out of this, so, you know, you can stockpile over the side here and waste that back into the ditches when you're done, so there's some options for that.
Talk about phosphorus for a minute, I know you're talking about. That's getting to a 20, that upgrade is getting to a 20-year, right, 2,000.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all you hear on the news, about Champlain and phosphorus and everything.
You're not put
And
pee on
I
your
just-
lawn.
I'm a little uncomfortable not having any contingency for that.
So that's a tough one, Bob, and you know, that's a really valid question. I think, you know, so far, I think, you know, if we go back 3 or 4 years ago, I think everybody that was in the Champlain Basin was going to require to do some better level of phosphorus. The ones that are being hit initially, which is why the permits are coming out first, is the Siskoy, you know, anybody that goes into the Winooski, the Lamoille. So far, again, because of where the Otter Creek comes in, the part of the lake, they are not intending or have any plans to change any of the discharge permits for any of the treatment plants that go into the Otter Creek. That's not.
We don't go into the Otter Creek.
I'm sorry, yeah, you're right, yeah, I'm sorry. But either, yeah, you're right, Pete, I'm sorry, but either Otter Creek or the South Lake. And there isn't any discussion or any intent to change those moving forward. CLF did appeal the initial discharge permits that came out, and the state did win that case. Basically what they were trying to do is they didn't want any more phosphorus discharge beyond what they were currently doing, which would have really placed quite a hardship. The wastewater plants contribute about 3% of the phosphorus to the lake, so, you know, I think the state is taking kind of a reasonable, realistic approach. That's not the place to spend the money, because on a metric ton, it's very, very costly, and that's not gonna go a long ways to solving the problem. They spent a lot of money in the last 20 years, and I think it's been very successful by it's only 3% of the phosphorus going into the lake. Who knows, 10 or 15 years from now, Bob, I mean, where everybody's gonna be, but there's not even any discussion or any intent to hit these plants up. The other thing, though, that you get into, though, is if the limit that you're going to right now is relatively easy to meet with just chemical addition, and with this setup, very similar to what you have now process-wise, the newer plants or the newer limits are going from a 0.8 milligram per liter to a 0.2 milligram per liter, and you really can't achieve that consistently in what you have here or what you would have here moving forward. So that's a whole nother additional component or process that would have to be added at some point if that ever happened. And, you know, hopefully that never changes and, you know, they hold their position on Otter Creek and the South Lake, but nothing on the horizon that that's coming anytime soon.
Well, that's a little comforting.
Yep.
And the 3%
Where-
is a number I'll remember.
Where are we in regards to that limit today? What do we produce?
You're at 0.8 milligrams per liter.
We are at the
Yep.
0.8.
That's our limit. Normally we're around 0.2.
No, but yeah, that's what we produce, right?
Yep.
So we meet that newer standard most of the time.
Yeah, you couldn't do it consistently though, you know, with what you have here. And the advantage that you guys have a little bit is you're running at, 132,000,
Right.
running at 25%, but at some point, if you did see some growth and you see that flow creep up, just tough to meet that consistently or that annual pounds.
I thought we
Which
did
you're
though.
at.
We do meet that pretty consistently, don't we?
We just had a period. We're there pretty consistently. We did discover last year, and I don't want to say this too loud.
Oh, yeah.
But we did discover last year that just by adding 3 or 4 times as much alum as we usually do, we brought that 0.2 that we normally go out at down to under 0.1. We did that for a few months, and we could have kept on doing that. It's very expensive to do that, but if forced to, we could. And that's a lot cheaper than adding a lot more equipment and new structures. One other thing I wanted to mention, Wayne, one thing that I'm hearing more than additional phosphorus is that there will come a point when the plants on the western side of the state will have to start doing something about nitrogen.
The eastern side, yeah.
Well, right now it's the eastern side,
Yeah.
but I'm hearing that the western side that may be coming. But the way we've been operating the plant for the last almost 15 years is we're already reducing our nitrogen levels down to almost nothing going out, so we wouldn't have any problem meeting any kind of
Standard.
new standard that they were to give us.
Trey, your question.
I guess my question is, if we're meeting the standards,
One of the things I like
it
about
makes the 6 million hard to justify.
although it's
Can
very similar.
Can I do something different? Like, can I just shut the plant down for a few months and truck waste to Castleton? Like that daily flow is 100,000, right?
Yeah.
It's probably doable.
Yeah, you gotta think kind of.
It'd be 15 trucks a day or something.
Yeah, at least, yeah, that's a lot, yep.
But you could shut it down, you could refurbish what's there.
Yeah.
A lot smaller scope project.
Yeah. The challenge with that a little bit is it depends a little bit on the time of year. The 130 is an annual average, so you could maybe get away with that a little bit in the summer. But, if you get that hard rainfall or get that wet weather, all of a sudden you could be up at 500,000 pretty quickly, and then you're really in trouble trying to haul.
Like this year.
Yeah.
This year's been a very wet year.
Yeah.
It's true.
So we gotta be a little careful about averages, because Pete runs a lot, has for the last couple months with all the rain, but been higher than that, and that plant's designed to take that higher flow, but we're just annualizing, averaging that over the entire year.
The tough thing is that $66 per quarter increase. I heard something about automation. With the automation, can we have less, where is there room for some savings, oversight, where we can bring that number down?
In our budget.
So the challenge you have with your sewer budget, so I'll just start with when you're getting in the wastewater plant, your 3 or 4 probably largest costs. First one's gonna be labor and benefits. Your second or third are gonna probably be electricity and probably sludge disposal. And anything you do moving forward, those costs are gonna be pretty similar as you are now. 2 operators at that plant with the pump stations you have, that's really pretty much the bare minimum for staffing. So that's not something you're gonna be able to make any changes. Not that those guys, if you go this, they're gonna be able to, look at things remotely and maybe not have to come in so many overtime. But, when you're looking at 2 guys at a wastewater plant, you take out the holidays and you take out the vacations and, the guy's sick and all that stuff, you gotta cover on the weekends. There's a lot of time where there's really just one person there, so that's a tough one. Regardless of what you do here, to really change much. The electricity, again, it's kind of a good bad thing, but the plant has been operated very efficiently with the way the ditches and all that are run and how you're doing. So you're really doing pretty well there now, on the electricity side. And because you're doing so good on the phosphorus removal, we did the selector in front of the ditch, that was done as part of the phosphorus. So what we're trying to do is get as much phosphorus out biologically, and that has a couple benefits. That reduces the amount of chemical that you have to buy, and reduce the amount of chemical you add, that reduces the amount of sludge you produce. So I would say it's your plane, you've already kind of leveraged that stuff, so it's pretty efficient already. It's really just, you know, the aeration, extended aeration is going to run similar to what you have now, but not change those numbers significantly. So, I mean, that's a great question, because in some cases you're taking a really, really old facility that's not very efficient. In some cases, I mean, there may be some subtle changes with, you know, the motor control centers. Obviously, electrical and heating, that stuff is going to be a little bit more efficient, but I know it's going to cut your electrical bill in half. I mean, it may, you know, lighting, all those kind of things may help 10 or 15%, but not a significant reduction.
The last pond issue we did was 89. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Any way to pound the numbers out a little bit and see what that represented
Sure.
in today's dollars? I mean,
Yeah, sure.
it's our turn.
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Well, unfortunately.
One thing I can tell you about what the town spent in 1989, at that time, there was an awful lot of federal money going around, and they were throwing it away, and same with the state. The town spent 10 cents on the dollar.
Right.
To build that plant.
I couldn't remember if you got captured that, but yeah, Pete said, so basically it was 90% federal, 10%, you know, which.
Well, the political end of it
Yeah.
is the $66. There's just no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I don't see any way around it, you know, honestly.
Yeah.
But I would
That's-
love to be able to at least say, here's what we've done before, here's what it cost us in 2019 dollars.
If we can, you know, we have a lot of interest from like Pulteney Meadowy Conservation District and things like that. If we partnered with someone like that to get some more grant funds, how does that affect that structure?
But fortunately with USDA, the way they work, if you start getting on the grid, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And it's just the way.
It doesn't matter where they come from.
No, because they have a limited pot of money that comes to Vermont, you know, and they're trying to allocate that as best they can, you know, through all the different communities. And if they're getting grant money from another source, then they're going to take that into account.
And how does every 100,000 we have some reserve funds.
Yeah.
We throw a little bit of money at it. Does 100,000 drop that 66 significantly at all?
This one's.
Just a question. I don't know if we want to spend that all there or not, but just,
It goes to 65.5.
it probably does. It's probably not
For
much
that much
less.
money, it wouldn't be much.
So this is a big nut, a big dollar amount. If we took the opportunity to design in a solar array that was designed to maximize net metering.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've been told recently that we can't really get that, connect to the grid
Yep.
in that area. But if, as I understand it, if you size it properly, and it's, most of the energy is used on site, the grid goes out of the question. So,
Yeah.
and that takes away the electric. At least we can, the town, the select board could say, okay, we spent an extra 50,000, whatever the number is, and the electric bill basically goes away.
Yeah, and I think, Rod, you know, one thing that's been hard with that, and we had this discussion a couple of weeks ago, is it's tough. I think you have to do like a public-private partnership with us somehow, because the incentives and the tax advantages are difficult to get from a municipality versus a private entity. Because unfortunately, I don't see a lot of the treatment plants going to solar because of that, because the cases that's worked is where they partnered. Some cities couldn't do this for the site. Well, like Essex Junction did this at their treatment plant. They had a lot of room within the fence, and the only way they could make the numbers work was to partner with somebody to take the lead on doing the solar piece of it.
You're actually buying power from them.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, like that 79%. proposal we heard.
Which is better. Yeah, so that could be an option. I think it would just be a little bit of a different approach, right?
And it,
Well, I talked with a solar company that,
Yeah,
you know, I asked them what they were doing in
sure,
Russia.
yeah,
And he said, well, we build for towns.
yeah.
And you know, it gets creative on the
Sure,
financing
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But basically, the town pays for most of the array. And they get, since they're an owner, they get all of the net metering, or as much as they need.
It could be an option, yeah, we just have to be a little bit different. Could be done separately or kind of in conjunction with this somehow.
Well, what I was hoping to do was get it to that 6.5 million.
Sure, yeah.
So that
You know,
it
if
falls
you
into
guys-
grants and,
You guys have any contacts, I'd be more than willing to at least look into that to see if it makes them. And actually, I could talk to Essex Junction to see kind of what their approach is, because they did a similar thing. Essex Junction is pretty unique, because their treatment plant is pretty much as close as you can get to net zero. They can produce more electricity at times than what they use on site.
Right.
And that's a little different, because it's a whole different type of treatment process. So they have sludge, digestion, they have a combined heat power unit, so they have an engine, 150 kW engine, so they can generate electricity. They're all connected and have metering, but they've got, between that and solar array and all that stuff, they're pretty close.
but I'm just trying
Oh, good
to
option.
suggest
Absolutely,
that
absolutely,
something
yeah.
that
No, it's a good
the
thought.
board can pay,
No, that's a good thought.
Are we
and play it up.
too small for a digester?
Yes, you are, yeah. And you would actually have, so that's a good question.
Couldn't we take food scraps and things like that to make it work?
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of that on the municipal side as of yet. No, everybody's still trying to figure that out with some of the new solid
Yeah.
waste rules. So the problem with that, so there's two things for that. To get up, you have to be, I think Newport is probably the smallest plant in Vermont that has anaerobic digestion, and they're about 1.3 MGD. So permanent capacity, you'd have to do about 2.5 times. And then the other thing, what happens is to make that, you have to have primary clarification before the aeration tank. So we call this a secondary, waste activated secondary, because you need to generate the primary sludge first before the aeration tanks, because that's where you generate
That's
a
where
lot
you
of
get
the biogas. You have to go to the anaerobic digestion. So you guys couldn't even do this on site, with just the sludge. It's waste out of the secondary clarifiers is too thin. And then your plant just isn't way big enough.
Wayne, so I'm new to this, but what I'm hearing is our plant runs really well. We're doing really good. It's going to cost us $6.5 million to replace it. The reason we're replacing it is for what I understand is the fear of catastrophic failure. That's why we're replacing it. Things are great, but things might not be great in a serious way soon.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, we hear how our numbers are low. We're under our numbers, but okay.
It's the risk, and that risk decreases as you move on.
Okay.
We're having this, as we talked about, this is a 3 or 4 year window. If you slide it forward a year, it becomes now 5 years, and the farther you go to the right, the higher degree of risk, for failures, long-term catastrophic failures, fines.
We're not changing things because things are bad. We're changing things because things might go south very fast.
That's right.
Okay.
It may not be a fair question, but I want to ask it anyway. So, in working with the other sites that you've done, I'm sure they've come up with an increase in order to do it like the $66 per quarter. Have they have any innovative ways to help get that paid down that you can share with us? Because I'm sure what we're going to be discussing is how do you sell that kind of an increase when you go to get the bond even approved?
So that's a good question. I guess one of the do you remember? Well, obviously it's hard to go back. Sometimes the community would be paying off an existing bond, so that's an avenue to give you a little bit of flexibility. The unfortunate thing too is that nobody's really put money aside over the last 25 or 30 years, and that's a whole other discussion. If you had a better capital reserve or fund, and you've been putting money aside over the last 10, 15, or 20 years, that's that's a way to obviously defray the increases
But
moving forward,
you still would have to put away that 66.
or something, or even.
Or half of that 3 million, so we're only bonding out.
But I mean,
We're
over the
talking
last
3.
30 years, you would have had to do at least $30
Yeah,
to knock it
right.
significantly down.
Or at least something, at least something, yeah.
People would have noticed that too.
And the only other thing that really doesn't, help a whole lot is that, your first loan payment, you can go out, you can kind of phase the rate increase in, so you've got a little bit of time to do that. We're not looking at that it depends, I want to be a little careful on the funding source, but that rate increase isn't needing to fully happen now for 3 or 4 years, or even beyond that. So you can phase that in slowly to make it a little bit easier for people.
Can I take those first 4 years and amortize them over the 30
And could, yeah.
and make it more like 60 all of a sudden?
Yeah.
It helps.
Oh, yeah.
I know what Jay Brown would say.
You're still paying it?
No, that there's a basic value to a sewer plant in town of Fairhaven, and that the general fund could take part of the burden.
Right, right. I think the only way this flies is you share some of that burden
The town of Fairhaven is the town of Fairhaven without a sewer plant.
without a sewer plant. And so maybe some people who are on town sewer may need to share some of that burden.
Not on town sewer.
No, but I mean, that's the only way I see that. significantly
You're right,
coming down.
yep, and that is another good, and so the nice thing about good or bad, there is a critical to move this forward, but here we are sitting here at the end of June, we're not jumping in anything too soon.
What's the time frame though?
Well, you get a bond vote in November, so you really want to start the public education outreach and, roughly right after probably Labor Day bond, September.
This November.
Yeah, yeah.
So we don't have, there are no elections in November. Can we do it in March?
You could, now
You
you're
could.
just gonna remember now, you're pushing that off for.
Construction time.
So you
Yeah,
prefer the
you know,
November
and-
election?
And the other thing is if the first one doesn't pass, now you just, you're starting to push things, but that's something that the board needs to kind of think about.
That would be, it would be a cheap election, as far as elections go, because it's a paper ballot.
You're not gonna
There
get,
won't be anything else, so that's.
you just won't have a turnout,
You just want
That's what I'm worried about.
so I don't know how to go.
I don't know, that's a double-edged sword too.
Yeah, there's another option, back to this, how to help that out is maybe it's a town responsibility. Maybe some part of that can go out of the tax rate. That's got some mixed, results too, like.
Well, it's not popular.
No, it isn't. I think
Nothing is going to be popular
I
with
think
this
I've
one.
had places try that at least 2 or 3 times, and I don't think any of the proposals have passed. And it's not that it's a fair, sensible argument that, you're living in the town, even though you're not connected to the town sewer, you need to have those facilities and infrastructures, you have the restaurants and the schools and all that other kind of stuff, but, everybody's like, well, I'm not gonna pay for it because you're not helping me, pay for my septic system or whatever else. And,
Exactly, that's exactly.
so that's a tough one, and I think it's fair to do that, but you need to be kind of, it's a challenge to get the support.
Oh, no doubt.
So, I guess the way I kind of see this playing out a little bit is, just kind of, it's a lot of information, it's a lot of money, I think nobody, that's obviously a concern of everyone. And maybe regroup, maybe we come back and after Labor Day, maybe you're on your September meeting and, after you've had a chance to thought of it, we're kind of done what we're doing here, and you can see where we go and what everybody's thoughts are, to get ready for November bond vote.
When do you have to warn a November bond vote?
Just 30 days, Jeff, yeah, so you've got to get that out in early October.
Okay.
But.
That said, it's good, all needed and very good, what you're proposing.
And you're not gonna get much done over the summer here anyways. I mean, you can do a bond vote per month anytime you want, as long as you do the warnings and all that properly. November election periods tend to be the more common. I think in some ways, the November one now, fits you guys pretty well, because if you pass the bond vote, you're ready to go into an RD apply application in December, so you've got some kind of feel of where you're headed, from the financing side of things by March next year.
Are there any lines, this is a little bit off topic, but are there any sewer lines that we should be talking about in this project?
Well, that's another topic of discussion a little bit too.
But
We
not-
need to catch up on the River Street stuff at some point, and we haven't been able to reach some of the property owners there, so that's not really
Okay.
quite there yet, Jeff, but that's another piece that's out
Then
there.
you've got West Street from,
Well,
standard residents out here to Washington Street, this whole
You got
place
old
tied.
infrastructure every place, and
well, I guess
people understand that.
I would just ask once rather than twice.
I know, I
I
know.
don't like coming back in a year and
Yeah.
saying, oh, by the way, we didn't tell you, but there's another 3 million in lines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or million, or whatever.
I think you'd be honest and just tell everybody that
It's
it's
coming.
coming. Because we're at that point, we've got to replace everything.
I
Everything's
don't,
old.
I don't remember now the lines that are left from the time Florida Gulf did replace them.
I don't know anything.
I know we just
Anyway,
found a
so
surprise.
what I-
but-
Sorry, I
Don't wanna
really
get down
derailed that for
rabbit
you.
hole yet.
What's that?
Really derailed that for you.
No, but that's a good, that's a great point, because this may not be everything, and we need to regroup on this a little bit, because we're not done yet, but you can think about that in September, if you want to do anything else.
I think the next thing for us would be collaborate with the town manager and let's get a fairly detailed press release out that gives everybody, breaks the ice anyways. It tells everybody where we're at, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and some details
I think you
up
got,
to and including options for funding, so people are just aware.
I think you'd have some public hearings or something so
Oh,
people,
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, but those are,
people
We
can
have to
tell you
get
they
some
don't
well-
need that as well.
Make sure they're well advertised and well attended.
I mean, it's amazing how many people watch the TV.
Well, they'll see that.
They'll hear that, they'll be taught, but you need to get that out.
First thing in the morning, it'll be on the,
Well, it
talk
won't be
show.
out, it won't be on TV.
Get that light switch.
But anyways,
Yeah, I know
thank you
he's-
guys.
I know you guys
Thank
have
you.
a
But,
You're gonna hit a bunch of people don't.
Good stuff.
Because of the sewer and
You
those.
just gotta figure out what to pay for.
That you know what you're getting yourself into here.
That's why it's.
by the way, Bob, that's $66 a quarter, $264 a year.
I did that, man, as soon as I saw 66. It'd be nice to be able to make it $200 a year, but what's the difference?
These are all signed.
$64.
Well, I think that we need to fully discuss how that number ends up, and there's some things we might be able to do to help soften that blow.
Yep. We're gonna have to do them. I didn't mean to cut you, is there anything else you need to say?
No, you guys have a full agenda, so I'm trying to keep it. I know this is important, but
It
We're
is
gonna
important.
table the rest of
keep on
that.
task here.
Give you guys
The what?
thank you.
The rest of the-
better plan.
Agenda.
Well,
Yeah, this table.
hopefully there'll be a whole bunch of new stuff for you to see.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rainy, you're missing all the baby stuff.
I'm on my second time around, so.
How many?
Sit there.
Second.
Well, 89, I started in 90, so I just missed that last upgrade.
I've never held a baby.
But you're right,
Never
Peter, there was a lot more money around back then.
And I got to the point where I was so old that I thought I'm gonna make it my whole life.
Jeff mentioned the
Because I said-
$300,000 that we've got set aside right now in our,
You think we're gonna use that to get here?
no, but I was gonna say that's exactly what the town spent on that plan, $300,000
Yeah.
out of the 3 million that.
So when you do your workup, I want the whole, what the cost of the plant was, not what it cost the town of Berryman.
It was $3 million.
Yeah, okay.
$3 million.
I can remember
The
that.
town
So-
spent
And I
$300,000.
thought that was a terrible thing to have to pay.
$3 million, so we're doing twice that.
The first
in
plant was about
30 years.
100,000.
Yeah.
And do you remember what Phil Standard said?
No problem.
Which time?
Good answer.
I stand.
so small, Joe.
I stand still.
Thank you.
See, look how
Bye,
small
guys.
they are.
Thank you. Did a good job.
Find some good funding sources.
Doesn't it make you
for us.
nervous to hold it? Or-
No, no.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's why I don't, was because I'm afraid.
It's funny how
Infants
fast,
are Wonderful.
Okay,
Can you imagine if they had a baby?
department head report
No.
is next.
I'm not gonna do
You're on.
I started up on Big O on the culverts. I still got some stumps I gotta pick up. Cut trees. Put 3 culverts in. Gotta put some parts back. Now I need to do grading. Went on the airport, got the airport, that culvert in up there today. Going down the prospect tomorrow.
7 months.
To put finish up that ditch down there for the water,
Where?
down on Prospect,
That'd be Lee Avenue.
yeah. And then I plan on going from there to Scotch Hill, start cutting some trees up through there. Not those, some more trees up above it. Doing some tree cutting.
I keep driving by there trying to figure a way to do it differently, and I can't see it.
No, we're all
I
down
can't
there,
see
yes.
Barbara's coming tomorrow, which is, she's the head of the state, the funding that got the grant for Bigelow. And she's got to check Bigelow out, make sure they've got everything the way they want it. I'm taking her up there, because that's a problem that they already got on their map. So and that's, Joe's got a letter from her. You guys got to sign it, and then they got another program where this area, they're giving out pieces of equipment. A roller for the grader, a mulcher, seeder, whatever we want to buy, we just got to come up with like $1,000, $1,500, whatever, if you want to.
It's gotta be like a water quality thing or something.
Yeah, but it's, Joe's got it, he's ready, I don't know, did you get it to
That's
him?
it.
So, but it's all going for the state, so it's a grant, it ain't really costing us much, I think it's 20%.
Let's go to Chill Rules when you're up there, just before you get to where our favorite line stops. Notice that the culvert is sinking and you can lose the filling going through that hole.
Yeah,
Is there any plan
I gotta
to
replace that.
fix that?
Yeah, that's already, yep.
That's the one where the dip disappears in the wintertime.
It's right in the shady area, so you don't even see that hole until you're right in it.
No, I already talked, that's all being replaced. That's what I got for this.
And they got that culvert in good too, on Airport Road.
We didn't get it down, it's gonna leave a little bit of water there, because I couldn't get it any deeper because the water is sort of right there.
Better than it was, right?
Yeah, it'll get rid of,
That's
it'll get rid of
100% improvement.
99% of the water.
Is that to do?
Next, they might have to build that up, right?
Yep.
We might have to build that lot up a little bit.
The
Yeah,
excavator.
Well, I heard the school wants to
I think so.
fill that in. I don't know if they can or what.
Actually, if they
They
put
seem
a,
to be able to do whatever they want.
actually, if they put a mound of dirt starting up behind, where you start, where the corner, where the track is on the south end, just to burn to that low spot right behind my grandmother's home, it would funnel that water out there right out, well, a lot of it wouldn't go there. They've never really addressed the drainage problems for the school property, and that's why a lot of that mess is there.
Talk to the board.
Well, I don't know if I would have done that without board permission.
So,
Not that, this board, that.
And that's what I'm saying.
I wrote up what my plans was for this week and next week, and I'll give you another one. And I'll get the roads if you want to plan about the paving, I'll get those. The most important ones, I guess, and they all need it.
Going through the worst shape.
So what's the game plan for West Street? I see you're finishing up shoulder.
West Street starts Monday, the 24th of milling.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
start milling. I called Tim today, left him a message to see when he's gonna start paving. I would think by the next week, I would think. I mean, usually they don't leave it open much
No.
more than 10 days.
All right.
So,
So we're just gonna pile the grindings off of West Street up at the airport now?
yeah, we're gonna have to, because we haven't got that started, so we're just gonna have
It's
to.
too bad we couldn't get that road filled up and pushed up in a pile and get some geotextile down, at least for the salt shed and
Yeah.
sand shed area.
But that's the. I
That
guess
stuff will
that
still
bond
work.
is
Huh?
gotta be
That stuff will
engineered.
still work.
Well, you know, you gotta put something under, you gotta get salt
I
off
would
it.
think you'd even need to do like a archaeological study type deal.
For what they,
To dig that, to do a grant project like that.
If that's
But you
required,
can
all of
probably
that.
piggyback on the old airport one.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
You might be able to use that.
I have that, yeah, I have those documents. Nice.
Yesterday I went
It's
out
been
and
done.
turned the water on at the airport.
Full of leaks.
The shut off, I turned it and broke off my hand, I pulled that much of it out. Had to dig it up and find it again, finally get it turned on, the bleeder shut off. Well, we got it.
got a new one there now.
And the plumber
Gonna be.
was there, hooked the pipe back up. We're getting there. Slowly. Work on that now with everybody going on vacation. So it's good.
Well, it's the end of the year.
Yeah, but we're getting there. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. Not too much today, guys. Just a reminder that Skip Cook, they're having a celebration for him tomorrow, June 19th, between 4 and 6 over at the grade school. He's retiring after 50 years in the district. I did write up a thank you letter for Skip, if the board was interested in signing that.
Motion to sign letter for Skip Cook.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Done.
I do have one more question.
Okay.
I know we talked about the truck, and we talked about the mower. But I don't know what you want to do with the roadside mower.
Well, that was gonna be another question I had for her.
I have that on mine for,
Because the tractor in the brush hog is junk.
Kasami finally died?
I would put
Well, my question was gonna be, if you were planning to do roadside mowing, would we be better off to, put it out to bid?
Contract.
for this year, if we're not gonna buy a tractor, I would say yes.
I would say do that.
Contractor.
Consensus of the board, or?
Right, we can't afford to buy a tractor.
No, we're not.
I guess I wanna see what the bid comes in at.
Yeah.
Go to reject
Go
all
get
bids.
it.
And where we would pay for it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know where you're
And if there's
coming
any
up with
money,
money.
if there's any money available, go towards one.
I'm
Let
wondering,
me, if you guys give me
After
like 2
July
weeks,
1st.
let me work with Sam to see what we can get done, and then we'll bring some options back.
Because
This is
you're
the
looking
first
at
I'm catching
minimum
wind of this.
I mean, maybe we can
$150,000.
Band-Aid it and get through.
Yeah,
I
No, we're
gotta,
not.
I
we'll get it
gotta
moved.
buy a plow, sander, figure out what I'm gonna do, cause it won't keep carrying bearings in it.
Which one's that?
Jack's truck.
Thank you, guys.
I know we talked about, you know,
Making it work.
are we throwing good money
Joe.
towards your old money?
Can you get a hold of James?
Yeah.
He's not here.
Not tomorrow.
Not getting,
Not in town.
How much money are we talking?
well, by the time you figure your plow, your sander,
No, the repairs.
and fixing the, you're between 15 and 18,000.
Versus a $120,000 truck.
But you can lease it for 36.
But I gotta pay it again next year.
It's 36 a year.
Right.
For 5 years. Versus waiting another year. They're not giving us, right now they're only giving us 18,000 for the truck. Another year, they won't give us that.
So you're saying if we buy a truck though, we can offset your budget by 15,000? There's 15,000 repairs we're not gonna do?
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah, just something to,
Is that a center grade truck?
Break it up, break it up.
And I know Jay said this
Show
not to
us.
ride, I don't care about riding around in a new truck. I just want, I want something that's gonna make me do my job efficient and save the town money.
I never said you wanted to ride around in your truck.
No,
And I think you deserve equipment.
But
I just
I
don't think
know
I can buy it all in 1 year.
I know.
Yeah,
That's-
and we,
I got the excavator,
I've been
now
clear
I'm
about
asking
it.
for a truck, and I know that, but
and we,
do we throw good money to old
Yep.
and get no return?
Sometimes you have to just make it through.
How many miles are on that truck, you know, Sam?
I don't know.
It really doesn't matter.
No.
when we put
It's-
the proposal like for
It's how it's
mowing,
been
could I
taken
see,
care of.
like we have 26 miles of road, I've read in the document here. And just how much of that is dirt road that needs roadside mowing? I mean, it's great to have all the equipment and everything, but I'm
We got a
not
lot of
sure.
roadside mowing.
I'm just wanna see.
Don't they do it in like a week or something? Like,
I don't know.
And then it's done and the equipment sits
Like South Main Street.
there and nothing happens for a very long time. I'm just,
I know, but we've already got a complaint up here.
If you're
by
deaf-
Howard's Garage, that the grass is too high and they can't see.
it's,
yeah, it's probably.
Right.
every time I
And
go through because. we're
Then that
running
exit 3, when you're getting off the highway, that grass is so high going down the bridge, you can't see
If
anything.
we're absolutely not gonna run that, we should probably put it out to bid.
Take-
Put the tractor out too.
Let
Get out
let
the
me
hand
work
side,
with
cut the
the,
grass by hand if you need to. I'm just
How big
saying.
a,
You're gonna hard it.
how big a tractor would
I
we
was gonna
need
say,
handle
I'll give
over
you
the
my
rail
job for a
more?
day.
But I have 3 of them if you need them.
Sam,
I have one.
Sam,
Inside,
how big a tractor would we need to have an over the rail mower?
Now you're up to.
I don't know.
It's one of
Probably
those
need a
nice
90, you probably need a 90 horse.
Yeah.
town if they're having one tractor with one of those. It's most ridiculous thing I've heard.
Give us some numbers. Give us something to deal with.
this seems like a general maintenance kind of discussion we're having right now. If you guys give me a couple weeks.
Right, and we need
While-
some
while we're-
numbers, so we're not just.
It
Well,
sounds
not-
like you
not
want
e-
some time to prepare.
Yeah, well, not just numbers to buy equipment. Let's, in 2 weeks, we can get the side of the road mowed.
probably
This is,
would-
this is,
Yeah, I'll just
you
say,
know what I'm saying?
We're going for
So-
stuff where they just do.
It probably wouldn't hurt if you brought these to him and prepare and then bring them to us, kind of through,
Work
Yeah,
together.
that,
rather than blindsided. I don't know if you know or not, but
we can figure, yeah, we can figure something out in 2 weeks.
not the truck, the mowers.
Oh, no, it's
No, you and
not.
I
It's-
talked about it.
I have talked about the mower.
You gonna mow,
We should talk.
you gonna mow first,
You've been
Jeff?
busy.
I'll talk to you.
We'll use one of your tractors.
It's
Yeah.
not a
I would
out of the
be-
realm.
Yeah, well,
I was gonna bring this up later, but if we do mow, Green Road didn't get hit last year at all, so
Oh my.
I would be,
And
that's one of the complaints I got.
that was,
Pulteney and Benson both have decent rigs, I think. Benson might rent one for a week and do it.
well, probably the
Like you
Harrison,
might talk,
Benson would come down for,
Well, maybe we can trade cash, they don't like doing that.
no, but like,
no, but
I'm just thinking maybe we
Pulteney-
could rent a
Pulteney's got
tractor
a
somewhere.
Tractor for cop.
Pony does theirs out,
Yeah.
Fat Farms theirs out.
I didn't want to get
Give
into
us some options.
yeah.
Give us some options.
I just want to get the grass cut, so I figured we could do that for,
Do it the French way, mow your lawn.
And if you can, you know, if you can get chain gangs with sickles, that's all right to the side.
we did that in New Hampshire. We had guys out there working, and they were great.
If you
And
buy
they all
them,
have
you have to
orange
fix them
jumpsuits on,
and sharpen
too.
them on the way back.
All right, let's move along so we don't beat this to death.
It's all right.
Okay, so today the state sent over some paperwork for the loan for the excavator. We can't have we can't have copies signed. We need the original signed, and they're not here. He mailed them yesterday. What I was hoping was, based on the information that you have, that the board can authorize Bob to sign maybe tomorrow when the original documents get here.
Make that
Is this the correct summary of what we got?
Yes, that is the summary.
Is there a second?
Second. We can just stop in and do it?
All those in favor?
Which is
Aye.
fine.
This is just to pay for what we've already bought,
But
right?
we've already,
Yes.
This just changed the loan
It's a
documents.
loan, not a grant.
Yeah,
It's a
it
loan.
just makes it,
It makes it cheaper,
Yeah.
theoretically.
Was that a motion to have Bob sign the?
yes.
Okay.
have Bob sign so you don't have to.
Yes, thank you. It's just one person.
That'll work better.
You need to vote. Vote.
What?
We did.
I think.
Oh, we
you
did?
did?
No, we
I
didn't, I'm
didn't hear-
sorry.
I
No,
didn't hear.
I think you're right. Thank you. We got to vote on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thought I missed it.
I still can't hear nodding.
4.
Aye, aye.
There were 4 nods, you're good.
4 nods and a wink, and a blink, and a pecking for corn.
So we have, this is another, I would need another motion. We're coming up on the end of the year, and the accountant requested that $3,674.76 get moved from the general fund, general miscellaneous revenue, to the general reserve recreation building account. This money is donations that came in for the playground, but then was just dumped into, the general account.
So that's going to where?
The the reserve recreation building account.
Entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion that we filter it. $3,674.76 from the general fund to the reserve rec building fund.
7.
Second?
Second.
Glenn nodded.
I nodded in.
I heard it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you, guys. Just what's going on. We're having our new insurance company's giving us a defensive driving course on July 3rd. The PD and the DPW will be attending. Thank you, Sam. You guys did the letter for Skip. I met with the architect today for the building upstairs. He's finalizing those documents. He put everything and the kitchen sink into this. We can't afford everything. He actually included a refurbishment of the bathrooms down here. He's gonna list it out. We're gonna start getting quotes, but it's again to the board to prioritize what you want to do.
Okay, so we'll have that next time to look at it.
He said 2 weeks. I said a week and a half. So we'll see if we get them. I met with the.
Will that have numbers? I mean, like,
Yeah.
furnace is gonna cost X amount of dollars for.
No, he's just designing the actual physical building of it. We're gonna have to go out and get quotes.
Well, that I understand,
So
but I
who's
mean.
who's like the general contractor on that?
That's
You?
Well,
so,
find some
good deals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, once the board decides what they want to do, then we can start really hammering out the solid numbers. We're going to go back. Right now we have the grant plus the town's matching fund. I'm working with USDA on another 50. And we're going to go back to the VCDP and ask for a supplemental. Since they cut us so short, I'm going to go back and ask for a little more next year. If we get it, great. If we don't, I mean, you only get what you ask for.
So you're not moving on anything until you know that, or? You
We'll
might
see.
start.
Yeah, we'll see what the board, what the selectmen come up with, and
I'm just
maybe we can
a
start on
little
something.
nervous about getting more money from people and when we got this big expense coming up on the sewer plant.
This is all grant funds, John.
No, not totally.
Yeah. It's 100% grant funding.
No, the board has some reserve account.
Oh, yeah, there will be,
That's what he's talking about.
there's a reserve account for this building. It won't increase the taxes at all.
That's true.
I met with the Rutland Regional Economic Development Corporation today, just give you a heads up, just a meet and greet with them, see what they're up to. Nothing really pertinent for us. There was a presentation by St. Joe's. They're kind of rejiggering what they do. Again, not really for us. The union did approve their contract last week. I'll bring that contract to the board at the next meeting, at the year-end meeting, for their final approval. I reached out to Revitalization and EDC. They're going to meet. Some volunteers have signed up to meet on the 24th to spend that AARP grant, put in that little pop-up park.
What?
Pop-up park.
Pop-up park.
It's like a spot on the side.
Pop tart, pop into the park.
Okay.
Yes. Next, spent a lot of money. So next meeting, I'll bring the bridge, the Adam Street Bridge grant to the board, and ask you guys to approve it and just to submit it, and for cash match. So I'm working up the numbers right now. I don't know what those are going to look like.
Well, we knew it wouldn't be free.
I tried.
Is there enough in the bridge fund
Yes,
to match?
there is. The build grant can supply a rural community with up to 100%.
Wow.
I'm trying to make a good case that we need the money, but you know how that is. If we get it, on that note, though, I'm just speaking about the bridge and about this building. I'm kind of tapped out with time. So when I'm done with this bridge grant, I'm going to kind of hold off until I finish a couple projects. I don't want to overextend myself too far and then things just fall apart.
No, I can't keep track of it.
Yeah, so if you think I'm just kind of sloughed off, it's just I got a lot on my plate. So we're going to try to finish some projects before we keep pounding away, you know. We've done pretty good so far.
Now, on that, you're putting in the Bailey Bridge or you're putting in
Real bridge.
It's a real bridge.
the real bridge? You're gonna replace that one?
Yeah.
So we didn't, because we talked about doing the Bailey Bridge for the time being.
Did you check?
I don't know what the Bailey Bridge is.
Temporary military.
Oh, yeah, he's coming down, V-Trans is coming down to talk to us about dropping in the temp bridge.
From up here.
Yeah.
No, that has to go back to where it came from, then it can come down here.
Good to know.
State has a yard where they take all that.
It's not free. There's an application process and you have to pay on a month-by-month basis. And you can only have it for as far as 4 years, as long as 4 years. So it's not like they just drop it and it's good to go, you know. But the state is coming down to let us know for a candidate.
Would that be for Adam Street?
It is.
One by the lot.
That might be a complication.
That's the one.
Shore going across here too.
Yeah, maybe that's what they want to look at.
Just
That's
sets right
right
on top.
inside the,
Okay.
you have to raise, you have to make the bank to come up and off.
It'll set level, but it's about 10 inches higher.
V-Trans is
so
coming
maybe
down
more.
to talk to you about doing that, okay.
Have to make the approaches to it.
So we're coming up to the end of the year. I'm guessing, and these are just my rough estimates, DPW should see about $10,000 going back to fund balance. General fund a little bit more, maybe closer to 50. We're getting ready to buy fuel, and that's going to be about $12,000-ish to fill our tank for the year. And I apologize for this one. It's been a few weeks now. The brand new telemetry system up at the water tank, south tank, was hit by lightning a couple weeks ago.
Wait,
I know.
not again.
No, this was, I don't know, maybe you know about it. But it fried the whole system. Just, it cooked it, so we have to replace it. The insurance company is going to pick up that repair minus the $2,500 deductible, and they're going to provide us with upgrades so that way this doesn't happen again.
Is that why the warning light was on the outside?
I think that's, because I've asked them a couple times, I think that's what the deal is.
Is that why that light?
It's still on, because I've asked them about it.
Nobody asked the people that put it in, whether there should have been some lightning arresting equipment
I
installed in that project?
did. I asked, how common this is and why would it, because we just put it in, it's brand new. He said the odds of getting hit by this lightning are remarkably small. He says,
We met the
he said
odds.
this, he says this doesn't happen.
A surge protector costs like next to nothing.
Of course they're gonna tell you that.
Right.
Well,
I won't pay for it.
well, I would think that they would want to sell us a surge something. I'm not an
Well,
expert
now
on
they're
telemetry.
selling us the whole new caduffle again.
Yeah,
The insurance company.
yeah, the insurance
Well,
company.
same difference, somebody's gotta pay for it.
I don't know, I guess, might just ask them if they wanna pay our deductible for this instant. It's the fool who doesn't ask.
It is.
Any new information on for the Economic Development Committee's technical assistance grant anymore?
I introduced the young lady to Bonnie,
Good.
and she should be coordinating with them. I try to keep my nose out of too much,
Nope, that's good.
I don't want to run the committee, And 30 South Main is for sale. Those bids are due on the 28th, and the board will be able to review proposals on the 2nd.
Any coming in?
I have 4 people interested. I'm taking one gentleman up to take a look at the inside tomorrow. And the car is gone, thank God.
Make a suggestion. Wear PPE.
Yeah,
That's right.
and that's all I have for you today.
Were you going to talk with fuel bids or?
It's late, it's in the agenda. It's,
Oh, wait a minute.
yeah.
Way down there. Okay. Water and sewer, you're all communications, you got everything, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Water and sewer policy is road cut language.
Perfect. This is the one we talked about last
You
meeting.
got that cleaned up, copy and all that, you go?
Yep.
For all of us?
And do you need, with water and sewer done, 2 different motions on that? So on the, we'll start with the water ordinance, and that's section 6.02, where after F, number 1, we added the owner will have a road cut returned to its original condition within 30 days for water connection. And number 2, the language we decided on was failure to return the road cut to the original condition within 30 days from date of water hookup will result in the town of Fairhaven putting the road cut back to its original condition and billing the owner. This bill will be added to the owner's next water bill. So I'd like to make a motion that we change that ordinance, add that word.
Second.
Discussion?
What's the process? Do we have to have public
What?
hearings and everything on this? to change it?
It's a ordinance change, I would think we might.
Do you have anything?
Find nothing?
No?
I don't,
Usually.
just a clarification.
Is it an ordinance or is it
It's,
policy?
this is
That's
an
the
ordinance,
ordinance.
this is the water ordinance where the original, all we're doing is adding to where F, the owner shall attest that he or she agrees to pay all costs and expenses related to the permitted work, including but not limited to the street damage to the underground and above ground utility lines, which results from the performance of the permitted activity. And the road cuts that we were not getting paid in a timely manner, this is just a clarification of that. So I wouldn't think we need to do anything more than
Tells you, right?
just,
Well, one thing for sure, whatever we have to do, we have to pass this and
This ordinance,
then
it
we
tells you
will
what to do, right?
chase down,
Yeah.
chase down
Is your
the
motion
regulations.
to
It's
approve the changes
just wanna
as
make it binding.
presented?
Make
yes.
sure
And I
that,
seconded
It's
it.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody understand what we're doing? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? If we do have to have public hearing,
Just set
the
it up.
clock starts today.
Yeah, so the rules for this is after the board votes, we gotta post it. And then 60 days, 60 days after, if
Right.
nobody complains about it, then it
okay,
goes.
so you do have to have enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
We just have to
sounds-
notice it.
That sounds
So this
familiar.
won't be in effect for 60
For
days.
60
Yes.
days.
That sounds familiar. So pretty much the rest of the building season, we're dealing with the last.
Yes.
Okay. You wanna do
So,
this?
so the sewer ordinance, which is in section 6.02, where it covers the construction expense borne by the owner, all costs and expenses related to installation and connection to a public sewer / house connection shall be borne by the owner. The owner shall identify the town from any loss or damage that may be caused directly or indirectly by the installation of the sewer connection. The owner shall hire its own contractor. And I added to that, one, the owner will have the road cut returned to its original condition within 30 days of the sewer connection. And two, failure to return the road cut to its original condition within 30 days from the date of the sewer hookup will result in the town of Fairhaven putting the road cut back to its original condition and billing the owner. This bill will be added to the owner's next sewer bill. So I'd like to make the motion to accept that as presented.
Second.
Second.
Questions, comments?
We can attach both of these to the minutes?
All
Does that
those in
sound all
favor?
right to you, Joe? Perfect. Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Everybody,
So the water ordinance, I have a typo. I have August as the month. I'll bring this to the board for.
Yeah, but you're gonna give us a clean copy when you get done.
you want
anyway.
to,
New
I'll bring you a
business.
clean copy later.
Discussion of declassifying roads.
Yeah, so, there's been discussion about declassifying a couple of small roads in town that, from all intents and purposes, seem to be just glorified driveways. I did reach out to V-Trans about this to get their advice. We went road by road. They were looking at a Google map, they were not on site. But V-Trans had pretty much the same opinion that, yeah, those are just driveways. There's no reason to have those as roads. Thank you.
I think you're gonna get an argument from a lot of these guys.
I know you're gonna get an argument with people on Lockburn Avenue and, Lee Avenue. Those two in particular.
How many?
Coryell's already arguing.
Lockburn's at 3. The rest of them got 1.
No, that Road 48, that little thing off into the south off of River Street, there's two houses on that one.
Where's Road 48?
Bill Beebe,
Beebe's.
Donnie
Oh.
Beebe, and then that other house to the right over in there. Remember Betts over in there?
That's where Clem lives, isn't it? Clem
Right in the
lives.
corner of Clem's Corner, yeah. I have no problem with Coryell, Munger, Crippen, and Lee Avenue is a no. And that River Street extension, what are we talking about there?
Well, there may not be.
Is that Road 48 or what?
River Street Extension has three names. It's River Street Extension, Kathy's Corner, and there was like an Annabelle or Anna Lee.
Is that up by your old house?
If you go past Mr. Beebe's driveway, it's,
Keep going.
and turn, it's a gated road that goes into the quarry. There's two homes on that road that are addressed to River Street. And there's a map, John, there's a map in the
Yeah, I
packet
saw
I provided.
the maps have been, my only question when I read through all that material was still not clear why we started plowing and maintaining.
Because they thought they were gonna get a lot of money out of the state.
Well,
So you
and
are
if we,
plowing-
and I'm talking with the tax-paying landowners, if they said whoever the administration was at that time told them that
Just have
they
those.
were going to have a maintained road, and what we're talking about now is to go back and say, we're going to change the decision that was made here. Isn't that setting us up for potential litigation? And then we didn't do what we said. If I was gonna go build a house and live in here, and the stipulation was, I mean,
And the
and
thing you have is, they call it a road, but you cannot go out,
but
the public cannot go out on this road.
It was,
How
there
is
was,
it a road?
I don't think that's true.
that's not, I was gonna say, I saw one
I don't believe
gated-
that that's a true statement.
Where
Right.
are you going on Lockburn? To the guy's house?
Right, but I believe that if it's classified as a town
If
road,
it's,
people
we have
will
right
have
of
to
way and
drive
everything
on.
else, you can drive to the end, turn
That's-
around and come back,
that's
it's a town road.
Like, I didn't pick any of these lists, and full disclosure, Munger is abutting my property, so I probably won't vote on that one. But, like that one, the town doesn't do anything for that road. They don't maintain it, they don't plow it in the winter.
It's
Class
is
4,
that- is that a
class 3.
four?
Class 3,
It's class 4.
4,
Class four.
unmaintained.
It's a class 4?
Munger is a class 4.
Yeah, I mean, it just sits there. It's not like, but I don't believe you can gate it because it's a class 4. If you do what Joe's talking about, you probably could gate it.
To
Right, that's the
discontinue,
advantage?
discontinue, we could just gate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, this is no longer,
That's on yours.
Right, I'm not arguing for or against that, I'm just
No, I'm
clarifying.
saying
No.
that if we give that back to you.
What I'm clear, but he's not proposing that.
I'm not proposing that.
What,
Discontinue, we
Munger Road?
keep,
I've muddied this, but my whole point was, today, as a class 4 road, anyone has access to that. You technically probably shouldn't gate it. As a discontinued
You
road, I
can't
think
gate a
you-
class 4 road.
that's what I'm saying. I think I've said that.
But,
But up on Lockburn, if everybody, if all of us went up there and started driving up and back.
He'd complain, but I think you have every right to do it.
You do.
It's-
But I'm
well,
saying,
but is, my question on those, and full, and I think that's all we've got
Is it a
discussion. Is it a class 3 road? Is it a class 2 road? Is it a street? I see it called an avenue. Well, did we, you know,
At
other
some
people
point-
sitting around this table decided, here's our streets, here's our avenues?
At some
in
point,
town.
we accepted that road. At some point, we did, just like this way and that way. At some point, right? The town, I say we as the town,
Yeah,
accepted the liability for that road.
right. And so for us to, is it because we're spending too much money? And how much money is that?
so I tried to do this in a fair way, and it's not just because of the money, which is, Glenn, I think you've read the documents, but you can't declass a road just because it costs us too much.
Right.
The real reason, and I think the only reason that we could conceivably do this, is that there is no general public good. If I go up Lockburn Road, I'm going to somebody's house. There is no general good. I don't get to go anywhere else but to that one man's house.
Agreed.
Or a person's house. With that said, so I tried to do this in a fair way. I took the length of the roads that we talked about, we are talking about.
And that's how you picked them.
No, we picked them because there was no general good from those roads. They went to a house. Or they
But that's
did.
what I mean, you
Yes.
picked them because there's no general public good.
Yes.
Okay, all these, yeah.
So of the 7 roads, not counting Munger, because Munger's already a class 4, you have less than 1 mile, 0.73 miles worth of road. This is that we maintain. I then took DPW's budget, their summer budget, less paving, because we're not paving these roads. Their winter maintenance budget and the equipment budget. And then multiplied that total number, which is 301,000, by 2%. That 2% represents those roads, the total, those roads are 2% of our entire road total. Does that make sense?
2% of the 26 miles of road
Yes.
that we have. in town.
Exactly right. So these represent 2% of our budget-ish.
Okay.
That comes to we're spending, it's about $6,000 total annually on these roads. And this was the only fair way I could figure this out, is percentage.
$6,000.
Yeah.
What are you getting in state highway?
Right, state aid.
For the state aid, we're getting $1,110.84 for these roads. And it's based on mileage. There was a thought, from just talking with folks in the past, there was a thought that, hey, if we snap up all these roads, we'll get all this money. It's just not true. You're not you're not even covering costs. In fact, you've put yourself in the hole by plowing driveways.
But you take Lee Avenue, that leads to Muskogee Drive.
But I come back and say, so you're saving 5,000. It sounds like by not doing it. But we've got all these people with houses that feel they have a maintained road. If I was on one of those roads, I'd be screaming if you tried to.
I think you might
To
have one.
stop
Yeah, we got
it.
somebody here.
And I would also say that 5,000 is peanuts compared to the attorney fees that someone's gonna be paying. When we get taken to task for that, for $5,000 a year, do we wanna put ourselves in that position, would be one of the questions. Another one I had on Quay Hill Road, because we abut with the town of Castleton does some, have we talked to the town of Castleton and said, we want to discontinue our part? Castleton's probably going to get some grief. If I was in the town of Castleton, I'll say, wait just a minute, I have a problem with that, and there's a procedure for that, and what we'd have to be tied up in fees in there. So, prior to making any decisions on any of those roads, I want to hear from the people living on the roads. I see we have one here.
We have to anyways, we have to have a hearing.
But I mean, before we
Jump in.
get way into the deep end of the pool, just find out a little bit more.
Then when these people aren't on a town-maintained road anymore, their property taxes can be reduced.
Well,
That's, John, that is not true.
I doubt
That is 100%
It
not
has
true.
nothing to do with the road.
it
You're not
has
taxed
to
on
do
the
with school, I
road. You're taxed
did
on
a
the
little
building
research.
and your property. You're not taxed on the road. The road has nothing to do with it.
Let's see this.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm on Coryell Road, and it's a little bit more than a glorified driveway, although, you know, you could characterize that. There are four homes, and I won't call them camps because some of them, you know, ours is heated year-round. There is a full-time resident down below, although I think you said she's in Castle. The first two
Yeah.
were in Castle, and then the second two
Up the hill.
up the hill. I'm on the top of the hill.
You're on the right? On top?
Well, yes. When you get to the top, the drive, yep.
Roberts, you still on that?
My Uncle Hugh, yep. So, you know, I know taxes don't pay for roads, but you're talking about some people up there that, again, you know, maintain their property year-round. There's no burden on the schools, never will be. We're all, you know, part-timers. Our taxes are $7 grand up there. And whether it pays for a road or not, you know, we're on septic. We won't be affecting, I heard your whole sewer plan, I don't envy you there. But, you know, we're just thinking, I was given eyeballing that road at about 100 yards, our portion, you know, and maybe it's 120 yards, but it's a straight shot downhill, it has been for years. I don't know how long they've plowed it. I know it's been in the family for 60, 70 years. It was a camp at one time. And, you know, I worry about fire protection. If I'm in Colchester, by the way, so that's where I live. So we have to hire a guy to plow it, you know how that can go. Then he misses a day on a snowstorm and boom, the place burns down. I'm worried about insurance, what our insurance company's gonna say if we have to tell them, yeah, it's not maintained or plowed anymore. And I think that would probably go for the other people down below. They're in New York City, so they're not, you know, able to attend this, but they're in the same boat we are. A lot of other things. There's access to historic, the military roads up there. And I know Mr. Coryell in his day, you couldn't have any more private posted signs on that road. That was his gig. But people are using that road quite often, park up there. We've got a little pull off and they go hiking out on the military road, fishing, you know.
At one time, the town of Fairhaven owned some land on the end of that.
Yeah, I heard that in the, so I just, you know, I jotted down those notes, and I am worried about the insurance and the fire protection, police protection, being able to get up there if we have to, if it reverts back to us and some guy we have working for us down here can't get to it that day, and, you know. And again, the taxes, I I co-own this with my sister, so she pays the taxes, I throw some money her way, and I called her up before this meeting, $7,000. I don't pay that in Colchester.
I was gonna ask you that.
I pay $5,600 on a $395,000 home in Colchester. So, I mean, I've never bitched about my taxes here, never will. It's a great deal. I love it up there, but I mean, I may.
It's a
You
class,
know.
it's a class 3 road right now, too.
That's what they had, a class, yeah.
It's gotta be
Yeah,
class
it
3.
was
Class
a
3.
class, see, it was a class 4 for a long time, and just before we were going to throw it up, because that's the only one I'm familiar with, and just before, I think the Robertses came in and asked, and I'm not sure what the process was, but they asked to make sure.
I'm just trying to remember when that was about.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but the house below you was built, and it got changed, and it was, I know the town crew was disappointed because now they have to plow it. And I know at the time they were disappointed about that. But I'm kind of with you. I'm uncomfortable. I kind of grew up on Lockburn Avenue, a friend of mine. I always considered that a road. I know it only goes one place.
Well, there's 3 places on Lockburn.
Yeah, there is now. Yeah, I mean, yes, and the O'Brien, the old lady, you know, but anyways, I'm uncomfortable, and without a little more argument, a little more convincing, I'm not in favor of doing this myself.
Nope.
But it's nice to see a representative here once in a while, even if you're not ours.
I'm good friends with yours.
Yeah, tell them that we miss them.
Yes.
And I haven't talked to you since the last time when we put the sewer septic system up there.
But anyways,
Yes, right.
I don't know, what's the consensus here?
I'm not gonna change that one.
Any of them? I mean,
Any of them.
where are we?
Rock, that one down there on Lee Avenue, that goes out to Wascovy Drive, and there's all kinds of houses out there.
I get his point, I mean, like,
Lee stops.
Lee Drive goes right to that lady's house. You can't go any further, but you go through her drive.
My comfort, the only way my comfort
I think it's a
level with
valid question to
discontinuing any of these roads or the people on them, we talked to them and they said, no problem, discontinue it. I mean, then I'd go, okay, there's no harm, no foul, but I think.
Well, I know where you're at. Ballards, out to Ballards, off of South Main.
I think the risk is far greater, right, than what the $5,000 I'm gonna save a year. And,
Know where you go at Gilman's?
and if
Yeah,
the other,
off the Ballards.
are we saying, Sam, that we just are stretched so thin we can't get to these roads? Because I'm trying to understand why
No, I'm
we're
not
talking about.
saying that we're stretched thin, I can do the roads.
Okay,
I just don't feel that we should be spending money on somebody's drive.
but it's, at some
That's all I'm saying.
point,
I mean,
someone around this
driving out
table
to a guy's
said,
house, backing out, plowing back out, sanding his driveway.
but
There's no value to the town because the town people cannot go any further than his doorstep. That's what I'm saying.
but when
I'm not getting stretched thin, I'm just trying to save money.
Yep, and I appreciate the way I scream about saving money. I'm all for that. But I don't think I can lump them all into one group either.
No.
I'm saying, like, I look at Coryell, I'm saying, well, my advice is, I not only do I not support it, I don't see where I could support changing Coryell, just me personally, I'm talking. There's too many wild cards out there, and even though the taxes, we're saying it goes to a school tax first, at the end of the day, I'm still saying I think Fairhaven is better off with that road, and for some reason or other, when the last move was to change it from a class 4 to a class 3, to go completely back, it just doesn't feel right.
But the thing, going from a class 4 to a class 3, you're supposed to bring that up to state specs.
Should have.
That means culverts, if it needs guardrails, everything. It's gotta be 24 feet wide,
It's your road.
and it's not. So this winter, I'll grab you when it's.
To go for a ride.
Exactly. And when you come down that hill backwards,
Well,
and
right.
all you got is a pond behind you,
But if
Where's that,
that's
Coryell?
the problem on
we
the end of the
definitely
road,
have.
is there any way to talk with the landowners about, so you don't have to back out of the hill? I mean, I'm just,
You want chains on when you go up there.
you won't change on all four.
The bigger problem with Coryell is we gotta drive through Castleton to get it. We go through a section of town.
then
that's not ours.
Castleton takes their plow and comes
Like, it's
so
too
far.
bad we can't just trade and let Castleton do that road and us do a little further or something, you know, just to make it simpler, but.
I don't think you.
Well, they used to
I
plow,
don't think you could ever talk them into that.
No,
they used
it's
to plow all the way
of all the
up.
roads, present company included, of all the roads, that's probably the most difficult one we're talking about. It really is.
I definitely
I mean,
remember the
it
payloader
wouldn't
and
bother
the
me
truck
a bit
getting
if it was
smashed
to-
up there.
If it was up
Yeah.
to specs.
I figured that was
so I'd have
why it
it
was on the
up
list.
to whatever.
What's the, I don't wanna belabor this. I mean, I'm not hearing a lot of consensus to go further on this. If there is.
Do you have any landowners that wanna be?
Like, I saw the one in the picture that had the gated thing. If that, when you pull off and there's no houses in front, all the houses, the other side of that gate,
Oh, no, there's
No.
just this side of the gate, there's one home.
okay, so there is one home that
Yeah.
would,
Catherine's corner.
Yeah.
But that's all I have, maybe.
so when we go and plow that, they
I'm
open
just
the
wondering
gate?
if we
No,
they
we
were
don't
doing
have that.
Kathy's,
You
that
You
was,
don't,
that's my
so we're
old
not
house.
doing the other side of the gate
The
anyway?
one on the,
Kathy's corner.
Kathy's
What is
corner.
the plow's just going to go up River Street and leave a big snow bank?
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
I'm not in favor of
If I
that.
still lived there, I'd complain.
Yes, you
I
would.
say, hey, you're-
And I assume your son will.
But that's what they do to me.
I'll ask this question one
Okay,
more
I
time.
know where you're going.
That's what you're
Is
saying.
there any consensus to move forward on this?
Not for me.
You're more than willing to bring specific arguments in again. I mean, we'll
Oh,
talk about it.
I would-
There's a couple of them that I've been plowing that aren't even roads.
I know where you're at.
And no, this is just something that they decided that they would take care of the people.
How do I get on that list?
Right, I was asking the same
It's just
thing,
that,
plow my
that's what it
driveway.
is.
All right, we're gonna move on at this point.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thank you.
I'll talk to Bill when I get
Talk
my
about
haircut.
this one later, separately, if you want to do something.
Grant approval, grant in aid.
David's face.
Town manager's gonna start that.
So I have an application for grant and aid.
Oh, hold on.
Stop that.
It's your friend again.
Yeah, I know, we're buddies.
So this particular grant, and we asked, this is that weird one we had last year where it doesn't tell you how much money you get, but they say that you get money.
Well, that sounds like a great one.
I wish I know, I wish I
Let's
had
spend
some.
it.
What
Yes,
is,
spend all of it.
what does it benefit you?
That's the one on Bigleton.
Yeah,
That was
this,
for 10 grand to
No,
upgrade. the-
okay.
so
I
this is,
think what it boils down to is she comes, you show her, then you get prices, and
Yeah.
then they go, they
You
give
go.
you what,
Yep.
What it costs, right? There's a small match or something,
yeah,
but
20%.
What's the name of that?
this is the grant and aid program,
That's what I thought.
state money?
state money, yes.
And that's where, they got, this year, they go all over the state, but in this area, they got 5 pieces of equipment. The town wants to buy, they give you one.
We don't have to.
This is.
You don't have to.
But it's something that you can use.
This is for the,
Yeah.
this is to accept the grant and aid grant.
To do the banks and
But
stuff.
he's talking about for Bigelow Road? No.
Separate.
Okay. So what do we gotta do?
Motion to apply for the grant and aid program.
Yes.
With no numbers? You're gonna give us nothing?
She told me, she said, just get.
What are you doing to me, Joe?
I know, I asked, and they're like, no, we don't know how much. And they did this to us last year too, and I said the same thing, it's just like,
We got money though last year, didn't we?
they gave us $10,000.
Right,
yeah.
so that's what I'm making my notes.
So was that like a not to,
Try for it again.
not to exceed
Grant
or
and aid
something?
program.
No, that's where I think like up on
No.
Scotch Hill.
No, do we want to put a not to exceed on you?
No.
Not to exceed grant.
No, it's all free, we don't have no matching money.
There's a match,
There's a match.
20%.
It's in.
So think about your match, that's what I'm talking
Well,
about.
we don't have to
You
take
don't
it.
have to accept it.
Okay, all right. Then, do you really need a motion, or can you just tell them to apply for it?
No, I need a motion and a second.
I did make a motion.
So, it's like somewhat of
I'm waiting for a second.
I'll second it.
Now we can,
Now you, go ahead, say what you're saying, I understand.
Well, it feels like you're committing. If you're making a motion to apply for this grant, that's why they want you to make the motion. They expect that you're gonna follow through, I would think.
We,
So just,
We
are
already-
we all
we did
ready
it.
for the 20% match?
we did before make it, so.
Here's the
Do we have
thing,
money on hand to make master
As long
grant?
as you do a project that you were gonna do.
this will be a left-handed compliment, Joe.
okay.
But we're at a point here where we're actually wondering whether we should apply for grants. You know, that's a testament to Joe's grant writing ability, but I don't know why we wouldn't. If we don't want it, we don't
I'm
have
not-
to take it.
I'm not saying I don't wanna apply for it. I wanna know what it
But
costs
what
me.
I hear you saying, Jeff, is, hey, it's one thing if we have to match 20% of $10,000. If I have to match 20% of $100,000,
Probably
I
not.
may not have the money, so.
That's right.
Yeah,
But that's the
Then-
thing, they got these, like on Scotch Hill where those trees I want to cut. That's on their list. That's a problem, the town has to fix it. So if it costs me, say, $5,000 to take those trees out, set that ditch over, fix the road, that's, we pay 20% of $5,000.
Right.
That's what it is. It's not
But you're saying you would have had to pay the 5.
exactly.
Yep.
Now the state's gonna pay it. Or,
What other projects are on that list?
Scotch Hills, all the way up through there, it's all mapped out.
And they're mandatory projects that are in your budget?
No, they have a list that they go around and see that it's a problem. You should address this.
Suggested project.
Yes, you should suggest, yeah.
So they're not really mandatory.
No, this is just a list that they
You
put
see what-
together.
I know what you're saying. We're gonna work on that though anyways.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I
I mean,
don't
this
know why
is a
we wouldn't
perfect,
try to at least
so
get
the
grants.
state's gonna pay for that job, basically.
Right. No, that's fine.
And it will be
I
an
just like to know what I'm
improvement.
getting into.
And I think there are gonna be, the reason the state's
I
coming
think
up with
there-
all this grant money is they are gonna mandate fixing roads and culverts. and everything. That's why the money, that's why
Particularly-
the money's here.
Particularly their highway to the state park,
We'll probably have to
which is.
move
Yeah.
that Scotch Hill
Alright.
Road someday where the big Coryell on 10 feet to the bottom
All
is.
right.
So just to be clear, guys, this is not a cash match. This is the same grant that came through
Right.
last year. It's all in kind.
It's all in
So
kind.
now we have the
They're
excavator
trying-
that's
So
up
it
there.
doesn't matter, okay.
We're using that excavator at the federal rate of like $160 an hour or something, so it's.
I didn't know
Yeah,
you
there's
guys
no
paid
cash
for
coming
that.
out of anybody's pocket.
So it's a good thing we bought that excavator.
I didn't say that, I just.
All right.
All right, we have
He is
a
using
motion
it.
on the table.
We have a motion.
Not a cash match helps a lot. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Where are we signing?
If you guys could squeeze
It was
in here
unanimous.
somewhere. Where's your duly
Four
authorized?
nods.
Moving right along.
Cause more trouble than worth there.
Permit fee increase.
No.
No.
Hazard mitigation plan.
Oh, I'm sorry, I checked the wrong one. Hazard
period?
mitigation plan, comment period.
Yeah, so in your packets, you'll see the Fairhaven Local Hazard Mitigation Plan. Rutland Regional Planning Commission helped us put this together, mostly with a big lift from Jim Heller. We're
Regional planning?
Commission.
Sideline.
Right now, this is in the comment, this particular plan is in the comment period. It's been given out to other towns, and we're asking the board to comment. In public. If there are no comments, it just goes forward
Well,
for approval.
wait a minute, Bob, I got my schedule, my agenda in there.
They, there's two of them. One for the equipment and one for the grant.
So is there a cash match on the equipment?
I believe it shows
Cash match on equipment.
So you need a separate motion for that one, or did you do them all in one?
It looks like you could do a separate motion just to make sure, if you guys want that.
This too?
I didn't, sorry guys, I didn't realize that there was equipment in it.
Oh, okay.
Which piece of equipment was it, Sam?
the mulcher that I was looking at.
The mulcher?
Hay bale shredder,
Yeah.
mulch,
1,500 bucks?
$1,500.
Yep, that's a good deal.
I entertain a motion. This is another one of the grants and aid program. There was two.
Because I give Sam such a hard time, I'll make a motion to accept the $1,500, is that what it is, even? Mulcher?
Equipment purchase program.
Equipment purchase
You have to
grant?
sign it.
Yep.
Second.
You only need 3.
Any other discussion?
When do you have to sign this? You have to do it?
She's coming tomorrow.
Coming tomorrow. Letter signed, due date is July 3rd.
Just one more thing that's not on the list.
Oh, on the,
We just haven't talked about it at all.
oh, you mean in terms of equipment purchase?
Right.
Yeah.
Where are you coming money out of the reserve?
I think I have that $1,500 in a small equipment can.
If you think you have it.
I haven't seen the budget.
Sure you have.
I haven't seen that.
He's talking about next year's budget.
But you know what's in it.
There is $1,500, I guess.
There's, it's already refilled up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Other questions, comments? All those in favor?
I,
Those opposed? Once again, unanimous, reluctantly, I think.
Yeah.
that,
I mean, it's totally, Jeff, it's totally up to you guys. I mean, you don't have to buy these pieces of equipment. That's just, it's a mistake.
No, it's a good deal.
It's going around
Right.
this year.
The trick, the thing that will be negative to us is what Jeff was saying, is not knowing that this is coming, and then having to make the decision.
I guess what's more negative to me is now we've spent $1,500 out of your operating budget supplies that you're not really sure what's in there anyway. That's the harder part for me now. Like, if you said, yeah, I know exactly what's in there, I got it, no problem, I'm buying these other 6 things, that would make me feel more comfortable.
I haven't seen no, I mean, this year, my budget's right down to nothing, so I haven't bought
Right.
until next year. But I haven't seen that budget,
You don't,
any,
you have no idea what any of your line items are?
no, I haven't seen that.
You guys need to talk. Cause that's
Apparently.
been around for a year. Sorry. I'm tired too.
Really? Why?
no.
You're gonna be
I
tired
get-
for
I get
years,
what you're
Jeff.
talking about. That's all.
It's 6 years and then you start worrying about
Girls.
permits
Are
and
we,
licenses and stuff. So,
are we back on local hazard mitigation plan?
I think we are. Yeah.
Now they're gonna vote on this?
Were we? Yeah, sorry.
So for the board, if the board has comments, we would take them now.
Overall, the plan looked pretty good.
Yeah, no comment.
Yeah, and if there's not a comment, I don't need a motion, or just no comment is fine.
I looked at it compared to the other one we had last one, and I don't, it's all right, it's fine.
Yeah, she did a wonderful job.
Yes, she did.
Very good.
No motion needed.
No motion needed. We will bring it back for acceptance later, but this is just a comment period at this point.
Permit fee increase,
Thank you, guys.
discussion.
Are these permits, they haven't been reflected in our revenue side of the new budget, so they'll help things. There'll be a positive influence on next year's budget, this year's budget.
So, yeah, because there'll be increased revenue, right?
They will.
Does that make sense?
When I looked at them, they'll probably be
Minimal.
more money, but help me understand, we're talking about the one where we want, Phil wants to raise,
Yeah.
those are from those are pretty steep raises.
Yep.
And I'm going, what, okay, are we operating in are we losing money, or why do we go from $50, from $35 up to $50 for a permit? And even a driveway permit, that we're looking from
That we never
$10 to $15, people are just gonna ignore the permitting thing all the more. They're upset when they have to pay the 10, so I'm just trying to understand, why are we raising this? Because we're being charged more?
Who says they're upset for paying $10?
Huh?
Who's upset for paying $10 to put a driveway in?
I'm being a little sarcastic on the $10, but I can
Okay, well-
but not a lot, because I'm
Can you
still saying,
clarify
with the taxes I
sarcasm
pay in this town, and the water and sewer and my regular taxes, I don't think I should have to pay $10 for a driveway permit if I wanted to put 5 feet on my driveway.
And now he's trying to charge me for a building that's not a permanent building from Shaw's down there in Fort Edward, or Kingsbury rather, on my property, that you can take down and take away in 10 minutes. And I gotta pay
It's meant to.
$50 for that permit.
It's meant,
But
the
because I
permits,
started down this rabbit hole, let me finish by saying it looks like, when I was reading the first part, because it costs $5 a page, so
To record.
I was saying, okay, if I'm on a $15 increase, there must be 3 pages, and if it's costing $5 a page, what are we doing that's making it that much more expensive?
It's a state.
Yeah, it's not the town.
So we're charging this and sending the state more money?
Yes.
Well,
That was
we're
my other
actually-
question, where's the money going?
Yeah, we do get
We
to
get a
keep,
portion of it.
we get part of it, and it goes to our restoration. Is that the right word?
So-
restoration
Yes,
fund,
the
which is how they're
restoration.
doing all the
That's
digitalization
how
of
they
the
did, right.
records.
So it'll go from,
So when someone asks why they're paying all this additional permit fee, it's so we can do more of the rest. I just want the explanation of more.
Isn't it so
Because
we can
$5 a
cover-
page for saying it's gonna cost to record, the fact that I asked for my permit to do my driveway,
It's to,
seems a bit much.
It's, Glenn, the state raised that fee. And they did this previously last year, 2 years, before I got here. But we didn't raise our fees until today. If the board decides not to raise the fee, then yes, you go into the red.
So I read in the Vermont League of City and Towns that the town clerk's fees were raising. I didn't, and at the same time, up in Montpelier, they charged us with another tax by making their zoning administrator raise their fees on theirs too.
It's the recording fee that's being raised. It's not
Okay.
So that-
particular to Phil's department, it's the
it's
recording.
actually, yeah, the town clerk.
Yeah.
Okay. So it answers my question, that in
Yeah.
order to stay level funded on recording fees, these all go up.
is that
He's
fair
adding,
to say?
he's adding $15.
Yes.
To stay level
$15 to some, $5 to the driveway, but $15 to,
Home occupation.
Multiple dwellings.
Just to put a porch
drive-
on, it's $50 per minute.
a $50 permit to go out and replace the porch that I already have. I'm gonna give the town $50 more.
Not to replace,
No,
right?
not to replace.
No,
You can replace it, but if
Not-
you
not
increase
torch.
or decrease, like if you take it off,
Raising or relocation, that's in there.
that's the way I'm reading it.
raising.
So it
or-
was 35 and it's going to 50 is
It's
what.
going to $50.
Right.
If I'm going on top of the raise that we're already paying for our sewer that we're doing it, we're gonna do this right. I just think it's
Fine.
high.
Does it have to do with all the signage and the site visit, you know, his time? Is that what he's partly covering?
I
And,
wanna know
and
where
would you like it
where
if
the
he came
money's
in
going.
and explained some of that?
I think
Absolutely.
I think that's a reasonable request.
Phil
Yeah.
won't have any problem coming in and telling us.
Table this until so we can talk about it.
Sure.
Then we have real answers for you.
And
So
I
what-
think one
what
of the
we're-
questions Phil should, is when was the last time the fees increased? When he comes in, we'd like him.
Okay. Yeah, I'll bring him in.
Okay.
That way you guys get it straight from
And
the
just a
Phil's mouth.
little bit of the history and why
Yes.
each one needs to go. Thanks,
Nice
Phil.
start. Project manager appointment.
Yeah, so the state's finally moving forward with the salt shed, and they needed a municipal project manager, and that's me. I just need the board to approve that if they see fit.
That's presumptuous.
Do you really
If
want
they
to
see
be the
fit.
manager or shaking the
I would
salt
make
shed?
a motion to appoint, wait, what?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Make a motion to appoint Joe as municipal project manager
I'll second
on the
that.
salt shed replacement.
He said he hasn't got much time.
All
so
those
we
in
don't
favor?
spend it.
This
We'll
is-
spend-
Aye.
This is why I'm not taking on much more, John. It's just, it's too much. We're doing construction now, and it takes more
Yeah,
time.
I nodded and said it too, Scar.
I'm sorry?
John nodded, the rest of the side.
But it's project manager for the salt shed project.
Sure, yeah.
Cemetery
It
deed.
was a bit redundant.
You're right.
I'll make a motion to sell a lot at Cedar Grove to Dennis and Mary Martin.
Thank you, guys.
Is that a double lot?
Lot number 64S and 65 in
Yeah, okay.
section number 11. So it contains 3 graves.
Oh, 3 lots.
In section what?
11, sorry.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Who's all, you want to second it?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm-
Okay. Fuel bids.
I'll stop doing it.
No, that's good.
Yep, so this
I'll
is,
always thank you.
this is our annual bid for fuel to
Condescendingly.
fill up our tank at Town Hall. This year's low bid was from Local Fuel at $2.01. I put a little bit of history on there. Last year, we paid $2.25 per gallon, so that's a decent reduction.
Yeah, we should get that nailed solid before the Iran war starts. Motion? We didn't hear anything from Sam, or he didn't bid this year?
Nope, Jim mailed them all out, and just these 3?
They've already done that.
No,
So
they,
you're looking for
A motion.
a motion to accept the low bid, which was local fuel, for $2.01 per gallon. I'll make that.
I'll second it, but I got a
One-time
question.
drop.
Okay.
Is that the rack price continuously through the whole year?
It's a one-time drop, John. We're gonna take it next week. If the prices
Is that
change.
just for this building?
Just for this building.
Oh, okay. Then that's not for the garage or, oh, okay.
For some reason, when I came on board, they bid out the fuel for the garage and the town hall different, and at separate times, and I don't know why.
I think because we were full.
Well, no,
We didn't use a lot here. We
Yeah,
didn't
you
need
can't-
to redo it.
you
We've gotten
can't
this
bring
one
very much. You have to keep
into
it
this time of
on.
year now.
It's
Yeah.
a multiple
And it's a little
delivery
cheaper,
deal
right?
for the garage.
Yeah.
Well, it's cheaper and you have
Capacity.
monies left over usually.
Yeah.
And so if we had no monies left over, we wouldn't be doing it.
Right. Right.
Right. Yeah, at some point we
Everybody understand that?
skipped it back. to
All those in
fiscal year.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
So it might be worth putting out a bid for the other fuel, right, because we buy that as it comes, so we could bid that out and get it set up. Hold the prices down.
You could lock it in there now.
Probably a decent.
I did.
Five,
Right.
but as a matter of fact, the last couple of years, I don't think files has been done. But not LP gas.
Oh, probably not.
And
No.
we actually spent a lot of money.
We spend a lot of money on that, yeah.
On the OP.
Yeah.
On LP gas.
They don't
I
have-
said files.
they don't have
That's
a-
who the provider was, but by chance.
You can't do a
This
pre-buy?
tank out here
on
doesn't
gas?
move. The propane tank out here.
Is there anything in here that uses propane?
I think there's something upstairs, but we check it and it don't.
Yeah, but
It's a full
there's-
tank of fuel?
There's propane at the dump, isn't there?
Yep, and over
Water
to the
treatment
water
plant.
plant, sewer
Water
plant.
treatment, right, water treatment plant.
And,
So there's, yeah.
Maybe
we are
in the
using
town
some
garage.
propane.
We got one down in the town garage too, right?
Well,
Propane.
No. Okay,
We're on time, pretty much.
moving right along. Anything strike you? Any comments on the parking lot stuff?
One thing I circled panhandling. I did talk to VLCT and they talked about the law, yeah. They talked about the lawsuit and potentially making it unenforceable, so.
We take it right off the list.
That's what I figured. I was gonna ask the board if they wanted to pursue it. If not, I was gonna take it off. Okay, so.
Well, we can cross off the ordinance for paving the road cut
Yep,
and declassifying roads.
yep.
Excuse me.
My question there would be on the smoking ordinance for vaping.
Oh, create paving schedule. Yes,
I would like to see it prohibited on any town or school-owned property.
we'll pull something together, yeah.
Well, since we don't own school property now,
Right.
Yeah.
No, they have no smoking there anyway, but
but we
We
don't own
can't
property anymore.
legislate it.
Put something together for the park.
For the, I was gonna say for concerts in the park and all that.
Yeah.
because man, that's, we had one start at the last concert that got kind of rainy there in the end, but man, we couldn't even see the stage for the smoke that was in there. Claire was over there and we couldn't find her.
You weren't looking very hard then.
Okay.
You get the gist of what I'm saying.
Okay, let's get to the board roundtable.
I'm good.
Did we ever get the camera on the sewer line on West Street yet? Ought to be done before they pave it.
they come, but there's so much water, you're gonna have to do it at night when the water slows down. So,
They can't see anything because it's full.
because it's full.
That brings up another question. If there's that much water going down that line, it's probably undersized.
Where is this?
Corner of west, that Washington out here down my house.
Well, unless there's something partially blocking it, which is.
Well, that's another question, see?
And I mean, we got a camera that I can put down there myself, but it doesn't show much if it's too much water. That's the trick.
That one that A1 had, he sent it right down through the water on a plug line and it showed everything.
That must be a better camera. But I called him, and he said there's too much water, I couldn't, so.
I just hate to see us get that paved and have to dig it up from one manhole to the other to replace some of that line. And once you start working around that red clay tile, it's a mess everywhere it goes, all the way down through.
Like I say, I mean, we got a camera, we can try running down it and see. I know when we're down here, you put it in water, it's,
Dark.
you see nothing.
Well, we should make sure we're not leaving over a problem.
That's all I got.
Bigelow does look good. I made a comment about being rough, but those ditches look nice, like we talked about. They're nice, just, it looks good. So good job.
There's some more trees I want to cut, but
I'm gonna put zip my lip on that.
One big one?
Well, one person up there.
Anyway. It looks good. And the guys seem to be working really hard. I buzz up through there every once in a while. It's kind of my shortcut. And
I see that big check.
they're working all the time.
Rubbernecking.
Yeah,
That's it. That's all.
that's why
Just some kudos to say.
you hired me to work and
And you're working. That's right.
No, that excavator works good.
it does. But thank you guys for providing
That made it so much more handy to put that culvert in on Airport Road and fix the approach, cleaned up, nice, and on the exit end of it too. It was really, really good.
All right. Would you, in your spare time,
Of course.
give us a report on the email thing that was going on?
Yes.
You want that in the minutes and all? Just a
It doesn't,
report
no,
on the
it's-
email?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in the minutes, it's not that.
By the way,
Crucial.
Joe, if you call my number, you can leave me a message.
Have you had any reports of vermin downtown?
Down where?
Downtown?
No, that's what I need.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I have,
Four-legged vermin?
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
four-legged.
both.
not, yeah, both.
Yeah, no, thank you. I did get somebody that, they did mention that there were a few rats they saw down, corner of,
Behind the block.
Let's stay on
yeah,
top of
behind
that.
the block.
Let's stay on top of that. Let's get,
I've been down there every morning since I found out about it, and I haven't seen any evidence.
okay. Well, I just wanted to.
There's only
stay
one
on-
area where you're gonna see that evidence.
And you said you dealt with that business.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. And I would just, if you can, keep up with it.
Well, the only
It's not anything we wanna
thing you
deal
can do is because they are nocturnal, is get an exterminator in there and have him do the.
Well, I don't, it's not to that point. I just wanna make sure we don't get to that point.
I mean, if you start seeing them, then you got problems. You know, you stir things up and they're on.
And then it's too late. That's
Well,
what I'm
should-
afraid of.
Is that the town's job to get the
I'm not sure it is.
I was gonna say that might be.
I'm not sure it is.
I tend to
just
believe
think-
that it's caused by the high water situation.
I just wanna make sure that we're on top of it, we're aware of it,
Yeah.
we're doing what our due diligence is.
I did have a young man come in and mention.
One more thing, and I'll come in, I was approached by a group, they're actually Charlie Prager's son. He's, they do this, it's farm, what they call it, I'll give you all the paperwork and everything. It's farm to ballet.
Oh, yeah.
It's new.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've actually went to one. They did that one down in Green Mountain. And they would like to do it in the park.
Wonderful.
Yeah, the catch is, and I've got to talk to Chach to see what the deal is. The catch is they charge, which I said was probably going to be a no, you know, it would stop us. But I just wondered if you would take, after you said you would not look at any grants, if you would take a quick look and see if there's anything around that could mitigate that. And I don't mean to waste a lot of time, but it's a pretty cool thing, and it's another thing for the park.
Yeah.
That means farmers have to take up ballet.
Yes, which is not a pretty
We've
thing.
started though. We've already started.
The tutu, you're gonna be wearing tutus in no time flat anyway, daughter.
Yeah, get used to it.
But you'll have tiaras and everything.
There's nothing wrong with tiara.
Anyways, my request is that you do a quick search. Don't get involved, because I haven't talked to those guys yet. And I mean, they need the money, so that's why they charge, but I don't want us to get into a situation where we're using the park as a money-making operation. If we can get it in there for some sort of reasonable price, then good. If we can't, and I haven't talked to those guys, but I'll bring in paperwork and show you, or email it to you.
Do they have a time frame?
They want it, well, it's called something about harvest, so it's fall time.
Fall. Cool.
It's after concerts and parks are over.
Where are we there?
And
Thursday
I'm not
night?
sure that maybe that organization might want to be involved too, but it would be something afterwards. But I'll talk.
And were you thinking in terms of not only look at maybe just giving them a stipend or something instead of charging?
Yes,
Yeah, no, that's what, because we've done it.
yeah. And I mean, I don't want to come out, if we can avoid
Paid for them.
paying at all, I'd love to do it, but I think they need the money, so they're not gonna go for free. So that's why I'm saying if there's any art grant thing. quickly.
Donation.
And pass that out, maybe. Anyways, that's all I got.
I got one thing going back to the agenda. Safety
So
equipment
close.
policy, I'd like to see that brought forward.
Along the same vein, we talked about a circus there one. Remember that?
It was so
And we talked in the carnival. Is there any
Oh, the
interest?
marionette thing there?
No, just the regular carnival.
Just-
We used to do it all the
We
time.
used to have the carnival here.
It was
Well,
fun.
the Legion put that on, the farmers
Legion put it
started.
on, and there's
Nobody
no,
wanted to do it anymore, didn't have anybody to work it.
there's nobody wanted to work it.
And they weren't allowed inside the fence for some reason, I don't know
No.
why.
No.
And then maybe it's because of the money thing.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know why
There
that.
might
I
be
don't think they
stipulation
were.
about the park.
Well, the rides and stuff wouldn't fit inside the park.
It's just fun to do those.
Yeah, they had the
little
Ferris
things.
wheel and the
Brings
kids'
people
rides.
in.
No, it wasn't that, they weren't allowed inside the,
And I know Joe likes those
I'm
things.
talking.
I love that kind of stuff.
You know, you talk about the booth the carnival had, and I just thought, through my mind, the people that were there, they're all gone.
No, yeah, they
Go there.
all right.
Checkbook, financial reports.
Checkbook, $324,864.68. And a motion to pay the general fund warrant, $84,606.28.
Second.
Mine. I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
And a motion to pay the payroll warrant, $34,570.98.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
Won't need to
So
second
moved.
it, but I will.
Non-debatable.